Hold on. In this situation, yes. Hold on. I'm looking at a thing. Give me 1 second. Excuse me. Yes, it is exactly what I thought it was. It is another Tangletongue belt. Lord have fucking mercy. Every single time. This one's a little bit different. No, it's not. It's exactly the same. Interesting. Guess that's what I'm having to roll now. Okay. That's crazy, dude. Anyways, I have good news, everyone. Before we start anything. Last night, I did not want to make an alarmist like post leading into the setup for what we were doing. But possibility it's been too long. No, we should be live on Twitch now and Twitter. There we go. I made a post about the fundraiser on GoFundMe, and I didn't want to be alarmist about the post, but they were coming up on the deadline for when they needed to pay what we were raising the money for. And I took the time to ask, and everyone delivered in full, plus some, so that they had a cushion. And I cannot thank all of you enough for not only helping me, but also helping my friend. And in reply to this, my friend had a word of message that she wanted to say to everybody. Pause the music real quick. Now let's play for everyone.
Black man powers. I don't know if I should hit you or hug you. Thank you. $700 donation at one time. What the fuck?
She called me at 10:27 p.m. because somebody sent in these donations around about 4 hours and 6 hours from my perspective, which at the time that I took the screen caps that are on the thread and the post at 2 hours and 8 hours at 1:37 a.m. in the morning. I don't know who you are. I literally don't know who you are. They donated anonymously. I don't know who you are. But we care about you. We thank you. And I will suck your dick. Anyways. This is a victory for everybody. I didn't just make this possible by convincing her to let me set up a fundraiser for her. We made this possible by giving them the time to get back on their feet so that they can now use this cushion and time and assistance as a cash injection so that they cannot be put in this situation again. Because I'll be mad if they get stuck here again. Because they got fucked over by people who didn't want to do their jobs right and basically set them up for failure. So now that we set them up for success, we're good. We're Kino. We're great. We all made this possible. They robbed Diddy's lawyer and put something Put it into something useful. Possibly 1 week. Anyways. Necessary coverage done first. A little bit of some updates about Creator Clash 3 for people. Starting off with... some of this is actually updates on my side of broadcasting. Because I didn't cover this when it was live. I helped Jay cover this on her reaction stream to the Content Deputy. So, I read the Freddie Wong response, but I didn't cover this bit. So the first thing that's important. $700 is enough for a pretty premium blowjob and for charity too. I'll work the shaft, I'll work the balls, I'll even swallow and do aftercare. Anyways, this part I helped Jay cover on her stream, but I didn't explain on mine. And this is also another new update that she didn't get because they put this out at the ass crack of fucking dawn. So Creator Clash 3 was going to be accepting refunds until 5 p.m. PST today on the 7th. Posted like early ass in the morning. Flick the flendulum. Frendulum, technically. But enough. They posted this update about Creator Clash on the top ass crack of the morning, thus ensuring that nobody would be able to see or hear about these details for more than 1 day worth of time, so that they could attempt to say that they fulfilled the requirements of being able to do something about the orders on your tickets should you have bought a ticket for the event. Meaning that you would not be able to refund them. And it's okay, you gotta go 1 week. You would not be able to refund them for this material going into the event opening. Creator Clash is basically bum fights, but with influencers. But they claim that they're doing it all for the good and love of the sport and for charity. But as we know, Creator Clash is not charity-wise from the way that they give money to charity. They make money on the event and then skim money from the top of the surplus to then give away as charity. And this is actually leading to a very interesting development that has come through, which is namely that the developments specifically are tailored on the shit that they have here concerning the conversation of money, the trust, and the actual uptick. So, I talked to Cassie about this in her server before I went live, which is why I wasn't live at the ass crack, because I wasn't sure how I'd be able to explain to everybody how well we did. But we're going to start here. At the same time that they put out information about the refunds, Hassan Piker finally reacted to the content nuke made by H3. And he used his time live to set up money for the top fundraising so that they could bring money to the Creator Clash event for the charity of Stand Up to Cancer. 2 content creators just about around raised about $33K for the event promotion. And in a few hours, Hassan Piker raised basically $191K by himself, reacting to his YouTube video from the left wing. The question that is brought up here with the event is that it is comparable to the failure of Creator Clash 2 netting $0 for charity from the event, but then an iDubbbz Torture stream raised nearly $180K when they were begging fans on ways to fix it. That the Tiltify donation system solely asks us, the viewers of the content creators, to protect Ian's reputation if they overspend on another clout vacation. And that this time, instead of last time where they did it after the event failed, they did the begging, getting Hassan Piker, his new best friend, to bail him out before the event went off. So remember, the content deputy started with them announcing that they were going to be stepping away from the event. Alongside this, there is an information source that shows that they silently relinquished control to an additional third party, and an unknown player that was not discussed or announced is now in response in control and part of the promotion as that unknown third party. So on top of Leonardi and RGT, who are supposed to be in charge of this, there's this now third party who has a background in Russian-involved promotions and Mexican-involved promotions. So, they abandoned the event, step one. Then, Anissa and Denims go on a vacation, a mini vacation with each other. And then, iDubbbz gets his personal new best friend to help raise money for the event for him, after washing his hands of the event. This going in line with the development that I did tell you about as it was coming up on the event, which was that Freddie Wong, on behalf of all the other fighters, made updates questioning the now new leadership that isn't Anissa and Ian, who's going to deal with these problems that we have and communicate with us, as well as information being spread out on the timeline where people are now attempting to paint a situation involving communications between Harley about why he supposedly quit the event. It appears to be, very obviously to me, that Ethan is going to be used as a justification for why iDubbbz walked away from the event. And they're going to use the walking away from the event to justify how, with new best friends, they are able to make it a successful opportunity. When in actuality, this was nothing more than iDubbbz attempting to use Creator Clash as a way to get clout vacations, where he involved himself with the innermost sanctum of the Twitch anti-semi squad, so that he could have attack dogs that could liaison his propaganda and his problems for him, involving other people. He used the Content Cop to basically litigate all of the anti-semi squad's problems and complaints against Dan Saltman and Ethan Klein, criticizing Hassan on stream constantly in his content, using it as basically a tarring and feathering event. Ethan did not bend to it. They didn't fight their own battle. They tried to harass him through proxy. Ethan responded back with his summary saying, "You didn't tell them about how they were fucking with me. You've clearly sided with my enemies." Then in the middle of the content deputy, iDubbbz attempts to respond by saying, "Well, you're mad about all this shit. I'm going to put this stuff in here that you said I didn't cover." And then clearly lied about the timeline of events. So as he attempts to litigate his problem to him, he frames the problem that he has as, I'm being attacked unfairly, when actually we're being attacked for not telling the truth and trying to get people to hate Ethan for reasons that are not true. You walk away from your event. No, I just started in the last 14 minutes, horror. You run away from the event saying, "I want to be a dirty little piggy rolling around in the mud." You don't announce that you have a new buyer who's a third party who's involved in your event. Your fighters are hearing about your drama, and they don't want to hear about your clout sharking through the bullshit you're doing with Hassan and his friends. They want to have some confidence in leadership, because as Summary said from that post, our current trajectory does not instill confidence. You've got your new best friend raising money for your event, for you, something you needed to do as the leader. You're using these people for attention and clout to raise money for your failed event that you bailed on, acting like if somebody was doing it on the outside of the event, that's all you can do because your hands were tied, when you just wanted to bash your friend and use your newfound friends as a cudgel to do it. And at the same time that all this drama around Creator Clash is going on, including your inability to give proper notice on refunds for an event that by all means is effectively a rug pull, comparable to an Ice Poseidon crypto cash rug pull, your wife and her new, I want to say Muslim, but technically Arabian, Arab, best friend, are currently on a miniature clout vacation while you are showing this new content deputy in front of a live studio audience while coping about your like and dislike ratios in your content. And other such content creators, one of which was the one that I told you all about on stream, Jalare, are going around to your content and your events. Let me see if I can find that tweet. Going around talking about your content and your events as though you're an innocent victim, when actually you're the perpetrator that put yourself in this position in the first goddamn place. When you could have just did your job, you chose not to, blamed other people, said, I just want to be a little piggy rolling around in mud. It takes Hassan Piker basically finally doing what he was demanded and asked to do in the first fucking place, and what was react to the criticisms that were being had in the first place. And when he finally does what he was told to do, that's what brings you your money for your event. But you're going to probably take this and claim, well, actually, it was successful. We made money. We made for charity. You guys are just mad. You guys are mad at us for reasons that are made of bullshit. And it's obvious lies to any person with a goddamn brain. Because this was not the narrative going into the content deputy. All of this was happening in real time. Ah, found it. All of this was happening in real time. You didn't give a single bit of accountability, to the point where your clout sharking friends are basically money laundering through you, which is what it basically looks like when you break down this photo. How it started, featuring people like Jalare. So proud to be working with Ian and Anissa to make a Creator Clash and a fantastic charity event. Good morning, I think it's weird to prey on a charity event's downfall. I'm not preying on the charity event. I'm preying on the death of the integrity of Ian and Anissa Joma. iDubbbz and Anissa the Crazy. These two people can't do shit. Can't do shit without litigating it through other people. Because who did you sell to? Who is this missing third party we've never heard about until at this moment from the principal information that was uncovered from basic requests from the Department of Business and Professional Regulations? Why did we not hear about this information, bro? Why didn't we hear about this third party from you, iDubbbz? Who are they? Why do they have so many other LLCs registered for the event? Who did you leave in response for Creator Clash? What's the internal structure look like? And the communication that needs to be had is, are they going to answer any of the things that Freddie Wong asked for in any of these posts from inside of the Discord? Are you communicating with them now? Maybe now that you're stepped away when you were supposed to be doing this in the first goddamn place, and Freddie Wong proved that you were not, in fact, keeping the fighters in the goddamn loop. What's the timetable here? Why did you try to inform people about refunds one day before the event was supposed to go here? Why did you give them a cutoff time that was posted the same day as the post? You have fighters dropping off the card like flies. You refuse to update these cards as you were dropping your content deputy lickety split after the debate like you had to cover Hassan's ass. It looks like to me that it's not a conspiracy. You unironically begged your new friend to help you not look like an idiot. And all you did was make us ask more questions. It got worse. And barely a day went by. Will they answer these questions? Will we figure out who the fuck this third party is? Where's the money going? Is it actually going to go to the charity directly this time, or are you going to be skidding off the top of the head? Whose wallet is my money going to? Find out none of these things ever, because there ain't a single goddamn person talking about it. Other than us, the ones noticing it. But because it was posted on Aqua 20K, you're going to say it's Clout Sharks, it's Clout Sharks, it's Clout Sharks. They're just farming for attention. Even if you want to say, well, that's not our problem anymore. Damn, what a whew. When the money laundering scheme comes out, at least you're not indirectly involved. Hi, iDubbbz. The worst they can say about me is that we went on a vacation, guys. Guys, they saw me go on a vacation. They saw me interact with new content creators that are going to act as a bubble and as a net for my good positive outreach. All they can really say is that me and my woman went on vacation. Which, honestly, for me, that's the funnier part. The fact that Anissa Joma went on a mini vacation the same day that he drops that content saying, I'm not directly involved. They're happy to just not have this shit hanging over their heads anymore. That's so crazy. That's so stupid. I can't wait until this blows up and it becomes embarrassing for them. And there are people that will give their money that are a part of the left wing that are going to say, oh, well, see, event is when you have no fighters. And they're not going to realize that they just basically paid for some dude bro's third yacht. So he could abuse another woman on said yacht. All of this because Hassan Piker didn't want to react to a fucking video on stream. All of this because iDubbbz decided he wants to cut off his old friends versus his new friends. So, alongside this, inside of Relaxation Lounge, Jack actually posited a prediction that he has for the next arc of material that's coming up for him in the Ethan versus Ian beef. Jack predicts that Ian's going to make some kind of nasty public statement claiming that none of the friends from the edgy days, Anything for Views, Max Mofo, Joji of Filthy Frank, John Tronner, etc., actually liked Ethan. They only hung out with him for business purposes, and even back then, they knew he was a bad guy. Possibly dropping it in the form of a content cop, or as we should call it, a content cope. Hoping that it'll be on She Ruined My Life, or it'll be on some type of stream with members of the Anti-Semitic Squad on Twitch. The people who you can't ban for terrorism. I think that's possible. Because the tone of the content deputy was basically him claiming that Ethan was just lying and crazy, and that they were never truly friends and never truly friendly, despite the fact that you're out in the desert with him, shooting guns, cracking jokes, like you used to do. So, is he your friend, or is he not your friend? Are you mad at him for calling you out, and you not willing to call out the fact that you backed people harassing his family, attacking his family, attempting to break up his family, and that you decided... I saw it cut out this time. I don't know why it dropped. Anyways. Are you going to admit that you tried to use him for attention, for clout, and money to build up your goodwill, and that you cashed out the moment you could trade for new best friends? Or were you always going to backstab him because they bought you off with new attention and new clout? To try and reinvent yourself. But you're always going to propensibly be eating shit for the rest of your career. Because your new friends are going to need you to sit there and be the whipping boy for all of their edgy jokes. Not even Noah Samson is getting his shit pushed in like this. He's going to be made to be a misery cuck for the rest of his goddamn life. And he doesn't even get to have a happy family. He doesn't even get to have kids. He just won't give them any. I don't know if they're double income, no kids. But if they're dinks or not, who comes out of this the worse for wear? Ethan's got a family. Ethan's got a wife that loves him and loves him enough to give him children. He has a successful show. He has a successful career. He's set not one, but two different examples of precedent for content creation and content creators, for inspiration, both as a media figure model and as a businessman on YouTube. He's employed people. He's employed people despite their political differences and their confliction of opinions. He supported those members of his staff and has been supporting even the most at-risk members of his staff, because two of the people who are involved in the same orbit as that couple, AB and Lena, are directly involved in Frogan. And Frogan and Ethan obviously have conflict. Ian and Frogan and Denims and Hassan clearly would rather AB and Lena turn on him. They're not willing to do so. So Frogan did it first. Meanwhile, She Ruined My Life podcast is a fucking failure of a show. It is anti-comedy. It is anti-entertainment. Every time Ian makes a video, he embarrasses himself further as he continues to be a whipping boy for the left wing about what it looks like to be a reformed content creator. Every person surrounding themselves by iDubbbz is the worst faith person you could possibly expect and admit. There's not enough titties, there's not enough beauty, that's not enough shitposts, there's not enough viral sounds on TikTok that will undo the fact that they're willing to basically drop you like a bad habit if you hold them accountable for their actions. His content is on a downturn to the point where he has no relevance. So he attempted, of all dumb shit, to lean on the credibility of Hassan to litigate his problems through. He leans on Twitch streamers for support. He abandons his event that he started. He started. Has to beg that new friend to make the event viable as an actual charity fundraise, because he can't raise money for shit, because he doesn't have the reach to do so. So he has to then suck the dick of Hassan. Yes, it appears that Xfinity is fucking me over on speed too, Alex. He has to beg Hassan to bail him out. And he gains what from this? No stress and no pressure, and thus no clout and no involvement with whatever success Creator Clash has in the future. And it's all because I'm a little piggy that likes to roll around and shit and attack my friend. He's cooked. He's cooked. He's cooked. Whoa. He's cooked. Just stop making YouTube videos. You're cooked. Not even H Bomber Guy could turn a win out of this, bro. All that time trying to convince people that you're somebody. And all you're just demonstrating is showing us how many collars you have around your neck. To the point that the only thing to look into from now is to see what he does next. See if the energy dies down until after the Creator Clash event. And then, what's the next thing he's going to come out with? It's going to be boring as fuck. And speaking of Frogan and her opinions and her actions. Excuse me. 1 sec. 1 second. I gotta go find it. Let's see here. Please tell me I spelled Israel correctly. before the E. I need to find the tweet that I'm about to reference to you. I don't want to go scrolling all the way down my timeline. Found it. At the same time, over here, looking like somebody burnt off her eyebrows with a flamethrower, you are responsible, above all else, for causing such problems with friends, frenemies if you ask me, with friends of each other, that you've got Frogan up here cutting ties with her personal friends because she doesn't feel like Lena, it's Lena, Lena, and AB should have the benefit of the doubt. Because little piggies rolling around in shit, now needing to fund eyebrows. Fundraising her eyebrows. At the end of the day, the legacy that iDubbbz is basically tying himself to is a person like this.
I like they have no benefit of the doubt for me anymore, and they don't deserve it. And literally the only reason why I included the AB section in the video is because he was talking shit, saying I say like vile things, and saying that we had a disagreement. The last time we talked, we had a disagreement, which is not true. So that's the only reason why I included it. You know? He thinks, and like, and who are you to think that your words being leaked are that powerful? If every single time you talk to somebody, you're like, don't make sure you don't post this. It's like, grow up. The disagreement is that you don't pay a salary, no, literally. I think him and Ethan have like a father-son relationship, and it's like one of those things where like, you don't want to disappoint your father, so you kind of like bend over. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like literally alienating everybody in your fucking circle. Like I wasn't in their circle, you know what I mean? We were friends, we weren't like super close or whatever.
Standing on their feet, celebrating her getting and winning the nomination for Rising Star. The first time, we weren't really friends. We weren't really friends or anything, we were only friendly.
But it's like, whenever you're like alienating people and like fucking people over and all that shit, it's just like, grow up. Do you think any of the crew will leave after this? I don't know.
Asking questions like this to her chat, while funding the eyebrows that she tried to bleach off because nobody was enough of a friend to her to tell her, you don't look good blonde. What did she say? How did she describe it? He has a son-dad relationship? I don't know, chat. I leave the question to you. What's more important? Having a Israel-loving content dad, content uncle in the form of Ethan Klein, or selling yourself to the brothel of Hassan Piker, who now views you like a slave, meant to keep him looking good? Which one do you want? We can come together like butt cheeks. Which one do you want? It's wild that it came to here, but you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. Makes for good content. It's dog shit. Funny to laugh at. I'm not laughing at Ethan Klein, I can tell you that much. You make that deal? Would you adopt Ethan Klein as your new content dad, chat? You make that deal, I make that deal. Oh! Anyways. Let me get this thumb off the screen, as Pip says. At the same time, I regret to inform you, Mama Max has returned. And a statement has been made. A statement has been made by Nexpo concerning Mama Max. Where's my theme music? Here's my theme music. Nexpo uploaded a response regarding Mama Max's return. He uploaded it to Mega. It is not an executable file. It is actually just a Google Doc file that he uploaded to a file sharing website. Let's read it together. Note, this document contains hyperlinks. TLDR. In May of 2021, Mama Max convinced, why did I read that as convicted? Convinced Nick Crowley and I that Night Docs Jim is a creep, backing up the claim of the story about him unzipping his pants to someone who was later claimed to be a minor, amongst other stories from his months of living in Jim's home. Every DM of mine that Max displays in this video is well after this point in time. Jim and I privately spoke and resolved all of this a year ago. There is, thankfully, a very short 3-page scroll. Actually, no, 2-page. 2-page scroll of this detail. I'd like to take you guys to the start of this ordeal. In May of 2021, Max and I flew out to Buffalo, NY, to visit Nick Crowley's for a guys trip. That being from these pictures. It was mostly unremarkable. We filmed our Twisted Tea video for his side channel, checked out Niagara Falls, and rock climbed. Nexy, vlog about tea. Picture of them outside with face diapers. Mostly uneventful. One of the nights that we were there. Seen here. We were laying in bed around 1 a.m. in the dark. It was one of those late-night heart-to-heart type conversations where we air out our thoughts. It was here where Jim brought up Max, and this is where the entire Jim is a creep narrative began. Nick can corroborate like this. So how do y'all feel about Jim, he began. By this point in my personal relationship with Jim, we had our grievances. Unfortunately, diving into them in specific detail is not something that I do not feel comfortable with, but this is the point. Jim is not a saint. None of us are, and Jim had allegedly done a handful of things during our friendship that I still have a hard time believing. None of it was friendship shattering, but it did change my perception of him. Most of this is what I shared. Nick Crowley has been around Jim for 3 days in person and witnessed some of this behavior firsthand. Curiosity about this is what Nick mainly expressed. And then came Max. For months throughout 2020, Jim had opened his home to Max since he needed a place to stay. Compared to myself, Max had a much more intimate look at Jim's life than myself or Nick. So what he had to say felt credible. At the time, I believed Max had his word. During this portion of the conversation, he explained how there was a myriad of issues that have added up about Jim, and that we should collectively cut ties with him. This was the first instance where he, verbatim, called Jim a creep. He said that he would constantly have to feed his daughters cereal because Jim was too busy working on videos when they were hungry. He said that Jim had an incident on Discord where he was caught unzipping his pants for someone who, after the fact, claimed they were a minor. He claimed that him and Prod had witnessed an incident where Jim was hitting on a waitress and said that the two should spit roast her. He said that Jim whispered a sexual remark about my neighbor's wife directly to him one of the nights that we all hung out at my house. As a reminder, this conversation was happening in May of 2001. During the era of Max's channel, he was effectively known as the YouTube Predator Hunter. He caused such a star online that nearly everyone in the commentary and horror sphere caught wind of who he was. So again, regardless of length of friendship, as Max claims against me when he met Jim in December of 2019, Mama Max met him in January of 2020, as seen here, and as seen here, at a PAX, I'm assuming that's a PAX West event. Max lived with Jim for months. He had access to facets of Jim's life that none of us had ever known about, giving him a solid credibility that mistakenly took at face value. That night, Max convinced Nick Crowley and I that Jim Pagel was a creep. And this was where the entire narrative began. Not from myself, not from Mutahar. It came from Max. Every DM you see coming from me was well after this revelation. I'm making jokes and dogging on a person I was falsely led to believe was a predator, by a friend I mistakenly believed was credible. The fact that Max has been caught in so many lies, and even admitted to doing so to my face at Greater Clash 2, really weird how that's connected, is partly why I reached out to Jem and spoke about this a year ago. Curiously, many of the people Max manipulated and burned for years came out of hiding after I made my statement. All sharing stories about how Max manipulated them when he was done with their friendship and bullied them into silence. I was embarrassed about how I allowed myself to become so close, so duped, and by a person like this. This entire fiasco took place 3 to 4 years ago now, and while I'm ashamed to have DM'd what I did, it was a reactionary response to information that someone who I thought was a credible friend had drilled into my head. The DMs of mine he shared were immature and demeaning and not representative of all at my character. I have loads of personal and professional references that can testify about my character that have also met Max, Jim, and Prod through me, and I can reach out to them for statements if needed. Genuinely, I am so sorry. I put the so there. Genuinely, I am sorry for the remarks that I made and my involvement in this. I blindly believed a lie, and I can't ever take that back. To Max! Another response on top of that, in the form of a video. Factually, you planted this seed. Factually, you and DMs is very different. That should be R. You and DMs are very different. Actually, no, he's right. I'm wrong. I'm a stupid fucking liar. I don't know grammar. Factually, you and DMs is very different than you in person. You know that Prod, you know that you and Prod were vocal about Jem, and that there was no digital paper trail, and I'm confident that other creators you talked back to then can verify this. Perhaps they will come forward someday. P.S. Here's a link to Querin's Kitchen. It was privated because I want zero associationship with you. And here's a link to years of ORDM DMs that I had with Prox during our friendship, contrasting with the way that my character was portrayed, which consolidated an additional file folder made for posterity. He came with multiple receipts! So, in order, max.mp4.
Being a rapist and physical assaulter. It was kind of like an offhanded remark, like it wasn't.
Play it again, because it was not quite loud, so I jacked it up to 300.
I guess she saw it and she was like, I'll make an Instagram post about him being a rapist, pedophile animal. She didn't actually say she wasn't her. She said pedophile animal, but being a rapist and physical assaulter. It was kind of like an offhanded remark, like it wasn't.
If you didn't think you'd think there was some type of ARG video where a member of the crew that was doing filming was playing with their new fancy professional camera stick. Next piece. The DMs. But yeah, man, I'm down to do a full-time thing with you and Nick for real. I'm happy to help you guys out with the production memes. Then, a post from 6/17/24. Found this while digging through some old things today. Good times, brother. Would love to chat again sometimes. Bit unsure where to fit this in my statement, but this DM came from Prox after my public statement about Max last year. I'm not entirely sure why his sentiment towards me suddenly changed. Most of what he claims about my character is untrue, and anyone who met me can verify this. Prox historically had a very negative sentiment towards Jem through the time I knew him, stemming from how he was treated by Jem at the filming of Ben Drowns Again. Then, gotcha. We'll get back to you in a couple of days. 6/21/21, 10 p.m. at 10:31 p.m. Gotcha, we'll get back to you in a couple of days. Also wanted to apologize for any bad memes in the past, like something about being irritated at you or being busy or some shit. In the past, lol, I don't exactly remember. No worries, man, I completely get it. I tend to get overexcited about stuff and then don't think my videos through. This one is for sure, though. You're in this one. No problem, man. Don't gotta put me in anything. I'm no Jim. But yeah, I'll give you some solid lines once my voice is back. Should be sometime next week. I'm definitely getting that creative itch to release the doc. It's gonna be a bombshell. Gotta wait for the other friend hangout thing to subscribe. I'm so ready. Fuck! Hell yes, brother! Prox here is referencing Jim's past behavior of wanting to be included on camera in every project that we collaborated on. I nearly always let Jim be in because he was my friend. Example, my strange flyers around Portland, Oregon video. But yes, he was pushy, and yes, I did complain about it from time to time. Point is, Prox would cold drops Jim's name as well. Again, I'm genuinely unsure why he changed his sentiment towards me so suddenly. And then, more. These are from July 6th, 21, 7:13 p.m. Starting with Prox. Oh yeah, when we got your plans for the channel, the After Hours channel you made, I'm super down to do if things pan out. I should have time this week for shooting and all that. And the AH thing where I can tell you when I get back home, currently on a Panda Express run. No problem, brother. You need those lines very, very soon. Also want to warn you that the problematic ghostly girl is now residing in your server. If you don't know about her and what she did in Max's server, I'll let you know on that later. Just sometime tonight, man, if possible. What happened? Yeah, man, I'm going to let you get to it tonight. Not saying this is 100% going to happen again, but TLDR, she was roping in a lot of guys in Max's server, getting nudes, collecting simps, and etc., and instigating a ton of sexually questionable shit with those members, including me at a short point. I ended up having to collect a large report from multiple people about her to get her banned from Max's server permanently. What the fuck? She manipulated a lot of Max's male mods too, and I completely avoided them and went straight to Max about this weird behavior, which Max was already kind of aware of since she was being weird with him. I can alert the mods right now. IMO, in my opinion, should at least warn them about this. Max and I can tell you a lot more about all this. People like Name Blanked, open brackets, mod, should already know about it. Flowers4Ghosty.888 is the girl. I suspect she got close to me because she picked up that I'm good friends with Max, and she may do such a thing with other members, or Jim, or who the fuck else. I swear to fucking God, if Jim finds out about her, he 100% would bring her home, which would be incredibly bad news for us. Good lord, I would very much like to avoid that at all costs. I'll keep an eye on her and reach out to name redacted, close brackets, my mod, right now. Thanks. I'll let you know more about her soon. I'm about to get to work on those lines. Brother, I'll try to attend the watch party. Thank you, Ben. Praying hands. I appreciate this a ton. Appreciate the opportunity, man. When's the watch party, by the way? It should be tomorrow, and the messages are blocked by the reviewing order messages to the present. Then, Cringe Kitchen by Nexi. Hidden, because he wants no association with this person anymore. SpongeBob Sundae, Bad Eggs, Bologna Cake, Buddy's Breakfast Spaghetti, and Chocolate Vanilla Ramen. All of that sounds vodka-inducing. Sheer blah! And then, more DMs from Prox and Nepo. And an additional folder of things regarding Max. Prox things, Squid Game things, timeline videos, contexts, and the Max video that I just played for you. That was a part of said context. Per Nexpo, this is Max openly talking about Night Docs being a predator openly while Nexpo was playing with his camera. Max claims that he was quiet about his allegations. And what is being covered here, reading verbatim from Horror, is that Mama Max ruined relationships with YouTuber Night Docs by spreading false rumors about him that he was a sexual predator and an abusive father. Because recently, Mama Max has returned from the Wild Blue Yonder, and the first of the people who were doing so, the first of the people covering it, was of course your favorite man from the river, panning for views, Chud Logic. Personally, this just tells us more of what we already knew about Mama Max, and makes very clear you should stay away from him, because he will start to lie about you and do things possible to get some type of drama to bring attention to himself so that he can build a career off of you, or try to corral your friends around them in some type of a way. Expectations were already fucking low, bro, but I'm not surprised. Almanac. I need to tell Star to stop being so rough with me. I feel violated and my neck is not cracking the way it usually does. I am scared of my woman. Also, she says hi, chat. Anyways, moving on. Charge Logic started it, but Nick Dario gave the kill shot. True. I agree. 100%. No, you're not, you liar. What do you mean that I'm not afraid of her? I am afraid of her. What do you mean, her? No, Yan. Oh, okay. What did Yan say? Anyways, moving forward. On the same course of content, currently, it appears to be going back a little bit backwards to Frogan. Frogan has been having a back and forth trading of arguments and insults to Tectone. You know, the bald egg man who likes to go to the gym and lift weights. Tectone has been told by Twitch staff that if he stops making comments towards Frogan, then he'll stop getting banned and hassled about his back and forth with her. And he's also been told by another source that he is possibly going to be getting banned for it. In the recent back and forth, this has been the response from Tectone. Starting from here, Hassan is zeroing in on Tectone right now, specifically Tectone's dad for alleged previous sexual harassment within the army. Bald rapist himself, it's a familial obligation over here. This is a 2-minute, 31-second clip. Okay, I see. Thank you for the context, Tori. So, let's play this clip real quick.
I think it's pretty crazy. Oh, here's the. I think this was what I saw. Yeah, this is what I saw on the timeline.
This photo you see is of Colonel Michael Robertson. He was convicted of 14 accounts of sexual assault. He only served 90 days in jail and paid a $30,000 fine.
Bro, that is the craziest. I mean, it's not even a milkshake duck style situation because it's like for a milkshake duck to occur, like this needs to be a beloved figure and not a bald rapist himself, right? But what was hilarious about this, situation is like, I didn't know anything about his dad, you know? Literally, where is this reference? You posted, come in with the receipts posted, bro. So where did this reference happen? Do you think this person will change their perspective about this guy? Hokai Impact 3rd, gotta be the best game. Australia motherfucker. Yeah, like what? Why would you invite people looking for this information? It's so crazy. Okay, I investigated by myself, and there's a person with the same name, rank, and similar age to Tectone's dad, and he was indeed found guilty of 14 counts of sexual harassment. It definitely wasn't his dad. His dad served in the late 80s, the early 90s. Anything after that, he probably wasn't active and was a reserve. Plus, I know people like Casey, blah, blah, blah.
So, I'm going to pause the clip there. I don't think we need to go any further. But the context is there for people who want to go see the full clip. Without being sure, playing clips that are being presented to him out of chat, Hassan decides to litigate into the back and forth between Tectone and Frogan by outright attempting to call Tectone a rapist because his father was accused when he was 15 years old, over 17 years ago, bringing it up on stream to paint him as a crazy delusional figure or as an actual assaulter because his new best friend is on trial right now, getting blasted out of the goddamn water. And his waiting room streamer / moderator is someone who's directly responsible for the shit she's getting from Tectone back and forth, because she made a comment of her mouth. He cashed that check that her ass wrote. And he couldn't even spend the shit before she then wrote another check. And then he did it again. And then he did it again. I see the chat stuck up on this for a second. So, what happened, Struggler, is that there was a supposed black individual who was responsible for running a vampire werewolf cult by the name of Camden Gerard Davis. An enigmatic figure of no background, no history, no hairline, who was supposedly grooming and raping people willy-nilly. Those that will remember, the girl that he had living with him was supposed to be one of many victims that had been abused by Davis. No proof, only allegations, only vibes. Mama Max claims that he was doing the work to get involved into it. But TLDR, he was basically fundraising money from clout sharking on his streams for himself and Spencer, I believe her name was. She was trying to use it as a way to jumpstart her career. He was trying to use her to be able to have something interesting to talk about, to bring clout to his channel. He has some kind of weird spurg out where he believes changing his channel name is going to make the content more interesting to get involved, like it's an ARG. People couldn't tell if it was real or fake. They didn't get involved into it. He crashes out on a live stream talking to other people that was recorded because he was being confronted about these things that he wanted to talk about, which involved everyone's favorite cookie detective, Nicholas DeOrio, telling him, as he crashed out, I am the only one. Of course you're the only one, because nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about. That was that. That was the thing. Anyways, back to this. He decides to slander him live in front of the camera, and then comes to the timeline after seeing himself getting slandered. It says this: bro's going after my 75-year-old cancer-ridden dad because of an alleged sexual assault crime, SH claim, from 17 years ago when I was 15 years old to try and paint me as a rapist. This guy's fucking psychotic. He must be upset because his best friend's in trial right now. People inside of the bars come up and decide to say, alleged? Ah! Emojis! Laughing my ass off! Take a look at this video. This is brain dead right-wing PETA defenders! And everyone's favorite bully, Jake Chinatown, comes in. Last week, Colonel Robinson was convicted by a military judge of 14 charges, including having pornography on his government computer, sexually harassing 3 women, and assaulting 5 women. With this being reposted on YouTube or found from YouTube, and these pictures, which are from the thread that he was reading, not 100% sure, but people are telling me this is grandfather, not his father. Either way, he seems to be quite proud of him. And it's a picture of Tectone and his grandfather. We love rape! After looking into it further, it probably is his father, actually. Okay, this is 100% about him, you gaslighting fucking frauds. Tectone, from another user by the name of Gronk. Tectone, your father was a literal terrorist. Asmon's father was a Vietnam invader. Both of you don't deserve to have the right to call anyone a terrorist. Coming from a Tectone tweet, from where he considered switching over to YouTube because of the attitude and the behavior being promoted on Twitch, being protected on Twitch, and the threats that he's received about the shit happening to him on Twitch. He then links a video from himself 2 days ago. We're going to watch this. I am genuinely considering a full swapping to YouTube if this terrorist propaganda isn't punished harshly and immediately on Twitch. My father, my brothers, and our soldiers did not bleed, sacrifice, and die for this bullshit to be allowed and promoted on Twitch. This needs to change immediately. Great video covering all the bullshit. It's worse than you think. Subscribe if you got a second. Really appreciate it. Basically, Tectone has been getting harassed nonstop. First starting with just dumb he said, she said, back and forth comments. Then, YouTube tries to give him the space to speak. Twitch, trusts his safety, bans him, brings him back on good behavior, then decides to whisper into his ear, if you stop talking to Frogan, then none of this will happen anymore. He mentions the fact that he's considering that he wants to make a change. And oh boy, look at that! Look who's in the comments! Oh, that's crazy! Jake Chinatown. Relitigating the problem, trying to make sure that he can try and rub his nose in it. If it were me, I'd do something really funny. But, let's look into the video. Let's find out, in total, how bad it really is.
Mission team received credible information about bodies found naked and or tied, and
Boop. Bop. Ba-loop. Reset. Make this slightly louder. That's 20%.
so the mission team received credible information about bodies found naked and or tied, and in one gap. Stop. Already in the first line, this is crazy. They found them bound, naked, and gagged. And so
So this is, by the way, done by the Hamas terrorists that Hassan supports every stream, okay? I did the whole legwork on the Hassan drama. You think you know the Hassan drama?
I already told this is gonna be a great conversation. I know my YouTube.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Really great. I actually woke up from a nightmare last night because I was like, they banned my Twitch and my YouTube, so I was like, oh god, I'm so fucked. But thankfully, I woke up and I still have my channel. So
Listen, I'm not saying that you getting banned would be hilarious content for the double standard of Twitch, but I hope it doesn't happen.
yeah, did you see that Asmongold said I was gonna be a martyr for the platform?
Oh, God. Listen, Hasmongold was kind of a martyr. The major Hassan hate train started when Hasmongold was banned for his Israel-Palestine take.
What was that?
It started a lot longer and a lot further before then. It's just that Asmongold was the catalyst that brought people to realize, okay, if we're banning him for making the comments that he did in a JonTron style, how about we get a ban for any of these people? And then when they looked into it and started seeing the hypocrisy and they started just watching them start to scatter, they were like, let's press on this Vogon nerve and see where it goes.
Yeah, was that the inferior culture one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why he can. He says that once again, totally valid. He got banned, but the things that they're also saying they're not getting banned for, I just find absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
So are you all caught up to date on the Hassan, Ethan drama and the Cinder drama?
Oh, dude, I am so up to date. I took notes on the whole debate. I recorded like a 3-hour video yesterday about the Hassan debate and all the terrible tactics he used. I could give you some like epic insight into how retarded. Can I say that word on your stream?
You can say any word on my stream. It doesn't matter.
Right, I could give you some great insight into how retarded Hassan is. Do you want just like a fun one? It's not so fun.
Sure. Okay. So we're starting with Hassan. Yeah, let's do that. I would love to hear your full thoughts on this.
All right. Well, in that case, so he quoted the UN report, and he said that the UN report that says that rapes happened on October 7th in Israel only has circumstantial evidence, and he needs pics, or it didn't happen.
Isn't every potential rape based entirely on circumstantial evidence, like come inside vagina?
Literally, unless they do a rape kit actively immediately after it happens, it's always circumstantial evidence.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I sent you a link to the UN report. He failed to mention what the circumstantial evidence is.
Okay, I'll pull it up right here. So is this?
So pull up the UN report. Oh no, this is the actual UN report on the sexual violence that occurred that day.
Oh damn. Okay. What page should I go to?
If you scroll to point 66 and 68 as examples.
Oh my god, bro! What the fuck? Okay, 66.
Just go to point 66. Yeah. All right, listen, I told you, I did the legwork here.
Okay, I'll read it out loud. I'll read it out loud for chat.
All right, so this is the circumstantial evidence that he doesn't trust because it's only circumstantial.
Okay, let's see. So the mission team received credible information about bodies found naked and or tied, and in one gap. Stop. Already in the first line, this is crazy. They found him bound, naked, and gagged.
So this is, by the way, done by the Hamas terrorists that Hassan supports every stream, okay? I did the whole legwork on the Hassan drama. You think you know the Hassan drama. Just read 68. Read the whole 68.
Okay, I'm gonna be...
So to be able to save for Dux doing this autistically, Hassan went on camera, he saw this report, and he said, I'm not going over that. This is just circumstantial evidence. I don't trust rapes off of that. But the actual report itself was... They had the credible evidence of the investigation found on the ground from the attack that didn't happen, air quote. And they have footage, photos, and the physical bodies, and of the survivors, if there were any. They're a testament of what was done to them. This is what Hassan said was not credible evidence. Just filling in for those that couldn't keep up with what he just said there. Moving forward.
We finished 66. While we sexual violence, these things was not possible. Circumstantial evidence, no, which is obviously every single time. There a female victim was found undressed and bound. That's maybe indicative of some form of sexual violence. Insane. During the attacks of kibbutz, Kfar Aza, located about 3 kilometers from Gaza, burn defense, approximately 50 residents of its population, around 700 were killed. 100 militants entered the kibbutz. Am I saying that right, kibbutz?
Yep.
Armed with military-grade weaponry, most killings were reported to have occurred within 12 hours before the IDF were deployed to the area. Dozens of houses were burned. Fighting between militants and IDF forces and the normal kibbutz was reported to have ended only on 10 October. Complicating the recovery of bodies, the mission team collected information from first responders, reported discovering bodies of women naked with their hands tied behind their backs and gunshot wounds to the head. Well, Jesus Christ. Well,
So remember, he claims that he's upset that not enough people came forward. But you realize most of these people that were
dead.
also murdered.
Yeah.
Right? And so he says it's circumstantial evidence, but there's a pattern of women bound and killed naked with blood between their legs. And he's like, well, that's just circumstantial.
Okay, so he's just a fucking piece of garbage. He's just like
He's a piece of garbage.
He's just vehemently
You can have
defending
whatever
monsters.
take you want on Israel, Palestine, whatever your actual opinions are. To be there and go out there and be like, no, not enough people came forward, and the evidence is only circumstantial. That is evil. It is evil. Terrorist apologia.
Yeah.
And evil.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe he's a necromancer and he can revive some witnesses so they can come forward.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. That's actually crazy, man. I'm actually glad you did the research. Like that's gonna be more fucked up than I thought. It's
Yeah,
like
you
such
want
like.
to see what the Houthis did? He says the Houthis deserve a peace prize. You want to know what the Houthis did?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to know actually. Yeah.
Oh, today the Houthis bombed an airport. Today, this happened this morning, literally. I don't know if you want to see videos of that.
Is there's videos of this?
Yeah, it happened this morning in Israel.
Okay, yes, man. These are the ones that he said are like Monkey D. Luffy, right?
These are the Monkey D. Luffy ones. Also, they contributed to the deaths of 377,000 people in Yemen, 70% of them being under 5 years old.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's the Houthis. That's the Houthis.
Wait, can you send me a video of that of the bombings?
Sure.
Can I show this on Twitch?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know you stream on Kick these days.
People were injured. Luckily, no one was killed.
Okay. By the way, how is Kick going for you?
I like Kick. They pay me.
Oh, that's great. Okay, hell yeah.
Right, so that's one.
I'm gonna have to blow this up because he's showing this inside browser, and it's gonna come out bad quality without me blowing this up. So first, I gotta blow this up. Then I gotta blow this up.
I do a ton of these. There are tons of different angles. So the way it works in Israel is essentially, it depends which terrorist organization decides to bomb Israel.
Lord have mercy. Okay, I'm gonna read this verbatim from what's on the screen. Absolutely insane footage of the impact of a Houthi missile on Israel Ben Gurion Airport. What would happen if this was JFK or Heathrow? Do you think the Houthis would exist tomorrow? How about their Iranian backers? And it's a 5-second clip from account Aviva Klompus. So let me just go ahead and find that on the side for you right now. Aviva Klompus, co-founder of Boundless, former head of speechwriting at the Israel Flag Mission to UN, author, speaker, right on. Scrolling down. Scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. I'm going to list it by media. Lord have mercy, so many of these things. There have been more pictures. I had to find it. I got it. Okay. This here. Back to this here. So, here's the footage in question. Playing without audio. Missile comes out of the sky from this diagonal angle and smashes in to the airport. The same Yemeni airport was bombed multiple times in the past year. This what would you do tactics don't work on anyone. The whole world sees you as the genocidal scum you are, says this individual. We know that massive weapon shipments have been delivered to Ben Gurion Airport. Why is Israel using civilians as human shields? Blah, 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 blah. So, here you see an Israel person reporting on the violence. And members of... Carl, don't say it. Carl, don't say it. I'm going to say it. Carl, don't say it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it, Carl! The Religion of Peace are saying they're using this to cry for pity. Back to the podcast.
Of these. There are tons of different angles. So the way it works in Israel is essentially, it depends which terrorist organization decides to bomb Israel. But the Houthis are in Yemen, so it's a little further. So when they shoot their rocket, essentially an alarm goes off. A 10-minute heads up. Israel, a rocket is going to impact Israel at some point somewhere, and they have like a range. And then about a minute before impact, another alarm goes off. Get into the bomb shelter. The Houthis have been doing this, by the way, like 5 times a day, every day, for like a long time.
Wait, so are you telling me that terrorists are bad people?
Yeah, I know. It's a pretty crazy take. But yeah, terrorists bombing civilians is actually not good.
But I've been watching Hassan, and he told me they were really cool.
Well, he said they deserve a peace prize.
Huh.
A Nobel Peace Prize. Did you see that clip?
I believe I actually did. I believe I did.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you don't like Hassan much.
Well, he wants me dead, so why would I like him?
Oh, that's a very fair point. That's a very fair point. Okay. So in the debate of Ethan versus Hassan, who do you take as the victor and why?
So, all right. So, hot take. It was definitely a two retards fighting situation for a chunk of it. However, I go with the guy that doesn't actively support the terrorists. You know?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be real. Like, I feel like Ethan, with all of his, like, I guess, quote unquote credibility and like who he is as a person, he did a very good job versus someone who like deems themselves like a debater. You know? Because like,
okay.
In that debate, the situation that was really important to come away with is that the goal of that debate for Ethan Klein was for everybody to see the type of content creator and the type of commentary that Hassan has to give to his media sphere. And just like on the broadcast where I talked about it first off, the debate itself was a shit show for Ethan Klein and for Hassan Piker. Because Hassan Piker wanted it to be a shit show. He showed up to the event dressed up in his finest grifting regalia with watermelon flag banner on his arm like he's about to go box Aparo Creed. And the only goal that Ethan needed to have was exposing how Hassan behaves when he is forced into a situation he can't just meander through the comments of and give takes from. I, for one, agree with Horror's sentiment. And that's just on us. Nobody has to agree with that opinion. But most of that debate is two retards yelling at each other. 100%. Back and forth. And most of the reason why is because all of the things that Hassan says are stream of consciousness when he's live on camera. Just the other day, when he was doing that content, where he was finally going over the nuke, he was clearly referencing a sheet of responses and replies he was getting from his moderators and from his supporters on how to respond back to certain pieces of criticism that came from the video. Because he didn't watch the video live with no notes. He had to be pushed into doing so from losing, obviously, the optics of a debate that he would have not been in if he was a smarter person. And that he would have been able to walk away from if he was a smarter person to understand how to address it or how to handle it. Ultimately. At the end of the day, my ass has melted these fruit snacks, so hopefully they still chew. Ultimately, his goal should be to save his face. But that moment where he spurred out towards the end, started yelling at the top of his lungs, calling Ethan all those names, that was the debate right there. Address these concerns. I don't want to address these concerns. Ethan, are you asking me my opinion? Yes. Can you give me your opinion? I don't think that I should respond to that. Well, that means you're a fucking dumbass liar. That's all that needed to happen. For any person who needed to witness that event, all you needed to see was your God King put to task. A man who does a comedy show, for X amount of hours a week, versus the everyday commentator talking about politics. What's supposed to happen is that he has to walk around circles. How do you do a job every day and you can't do your job in what's supposed to be your political arena? The fact that he's even not strong on the topics and does not have the ability to give the answers that he needs to shows that he doesn't know how to do his job. He does not know shit about the politics. He doesn't know shit about the history. He doesn't care about the lead up to what would lead people to give the opinion. He was one of the biggest content creators who was responsible for telling people, you need to have a take on Israel-Palestine. You need to do work learning about Israel-Palestine. And when people did both, it wasn't good enough. But even he didn't do the research. Even he didn't do the work. It was just talking points from probably the smarter chatters in his audience. Without his audience to lean on, we saw that it was a meandering coward. He couldn't take a hard stance that he wasn't definitively sure was the anti-Ethan stance and the pro-left-wing stance. If Hassan Piker was poor, I agree with one Wick here, he would have been arrested by now. But that being used as a clear case example to have him banned on all platforms. But because he's the left's golden boy when it comes to political content creation, his media creator uncle and his news anchor media aunt, Anna Kasparian, have to just hold their hand in their hand and say, where did we go wrong, Anna? Where did we go wrong? I don't know, Chunk Yogurt. I don't know what we went wrong with. And they've long since already fucking threw him the fuck away. Or at least mentally, have decided to simply shake their head and roll their eyes whenever Hassan ends up in the news for his drama. Because he won't take advice. He won't take advice from his friends. He won't take advice from his family. He won't take advice from his media aunt. He literally won't take advice from his media uncle, teaching him how to go through proper journalistic ethics. Piss poor shame. And I feel sorry for any person who walked away from that debate thinking that Ethan Klein was not the clear winner. But I guess it's just a matter of opinion.
You ready for another fun point about Hamas Piker?
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, is it Hassan, Hamas, Diddy Piker? Or what is your full name?
Yeah. Hamas Diddy Bin Laden Piker himself. So I do have to say, name me one person that is pro-Israel that Hassan has debated since the war began.
I'm gonna venture to say 0.
0 is correct. He
Okay.
doesn't debate. He doesn't ever introduce other viewpoints at all on his stream. The only person he's debated aside from Ethan was Willie Mac Show, who was like, you know, he's not really like a politics YouTuber.
Yeah.
And even Willie Mac Show dog walked Hassan. No, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it is very, very, very uncomfortable. Just like how weird that whole side of Twitch is, and the preferential treatment of them, pretty much the disgusting putrid shit they say every single fucking day. They get no punishment for it whatsoever. And even so far as seeing Twitch staff in his chat supporting him and going against what Ethan was saying was honestly disgusting for me to see, to be honest, because that to me speaks volumes of why I got banned for calling Frogan fat, and she didn't get banned at all for saying American soldiers are PTSD. I just think there was definitely blatant favoritism on this platform. It's just really not good to say. It's disgusting, to be honest.
It's awful. I mean, Hassan calls the U.S. military a terrorist organization. That is, like, I don't even know. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Apparently, wishing death and violence on Jews or veterans or soldiers, that's a-okay with Twitch politics.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely got me considering moving full-time to YouTube if something doesn't change soon. And I do believe that hopefully there's going to be a tipping point soon where they realize that this shit is not okay, and whatever agenda they're trying to push isn't going to fly with people who consume the content on this platform. However, it's been going on for so long that I'm beginning to lose hope, which is definitely very, very, very unfortunate.
It's not going to happen until the subscribers end up drying up when it comes to those channels, and when the advertisers that see their content being featured against Hassan Piker goes belly up. Let's see here. Did I put it in the server? Let's see. Did I do it? 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 No, I do not think I posted it here, but I'm pretty sure if I scroll down Awkward K, I'll probably find it. There is, nope, yes it did, yes it did, yes it did. Harry, yes it did. Here it is. So, shout outs to Dan, because it's Dan's tweet. What will happen and will change the narrative when this starts showing up against ads for Toyota, Honda, Johnson & Johnson, and whatever fucking PC building company currently is taken over in the marketplace, when this becomes the narrative of the front page of every single clip that's going viral for Hassan Piker, that's when the behavior will stop. That's when they'll change their tune. I mean, who doesn't want to sell muffins or cookies or donuts against that, bro? Come on, what's the problem? It's prime real estate, don't you see? Meanwhile, chat's having a conversation about Mudahar. Anyways, I'll address that once I address this next point.
Yeah,
it's pretty rough. I mean, that entire squad of people. I don't know. Have you heard of the band Kneecap?
I have actually. So
they're an Irish band. They're friends with people like Hassan and.
Ah, yes, he brought up Kneecap. that's not really worth getting into. If you want to break down about that story that Nux is about to talk about, I would push you to go listen and talk to Sargon of Akkad on his Carl Benjamin account. He actually goes over that. The TLDR, a band was making sensationalist political statements, and they had to choose between if they were going to apologize for those censorious statements that they made towards government officials, or if they were going to try to lean in for clout. They folded like pancakes, and they were getting mocked for the fact that they folded like pancakes while doing the punk thing.
Mia Khalifa and like that whole little squad of douchebags that all support terrorists.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, this one. Okay, I don't want to make you like upset on your stream. Did you see the Mia Khalifa clip about veterans?
No, I haven't.
He's just bringing up all the shit. Jesus fucking Christ. That's like old news at this point. And people already mocked and made fun of her and moved on. Holy shit. Anyways.
Let me find that.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's the same squad of like literal terrorist sympathizer pieces of shit. It's unbelievable. Like they gaggle together. So Mia Khalifa is well known for saying that she wishes the Hamas terrorists flipped their phones to landscape mode so they could watch the atrocities better footage during October 7th.
Well, that's just weird as fuck to say. I don't even, like, how does it even coming out of human? Well, that being said, I mean, with how many loads she's taking in her mouth, surely she got some brain damage going on there. I don't really know why we're going like and looking into an ex-porn star's opinion on politics. I don't really understand why we're doing that. But yeah, I mean, the bitch has to be retarded after how hard she's been face fucked in those videos.
I mean, she would literally be executed if she returned to the Middle East for being a whole whore.
Yeah, no, absolutely. By the way, some guy in chat says Nux is far too Jewy. Do you take offense to that, or is it like a compliment?
I guess it depends who says it. Hassan says it, I run away. I don't get stabbed with these swastika swords, okay? Listen.
Yeah, well, it's technically not a swastika sword.
It's a Bleach sword.
Yeah, and even though he doesn't watch Bleach, or knew the sword was from Bleach, and actually, in fact, doesn't like Bleach, it's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. It's fine. Yeah, that shit was hilarious, bro.
Yeah, that's like a nothing burger situation, but it's the fact that they stood on business so hard.
Yep. No, I
it's like, okay, the Jew guy says that it's offensive, so just take down the post, all right? But nope, standing on business.
Yeah, it was one of those like really like one of those really dude really situations, but it's like obvious you can analyze as much as you want, but I think it's a waste of time to go after Hamas or any of his orbiters for anything that you can speculate, and you can just go after them for all the horrible things that you can actually prove.
Yes, a Carl position. Sweet God, he would be decent at single player Carl. Let me catch up to chat. I would agree with Horror that Mutahar is not really friends with anyone. Mutahar strikes me as the type of person who will get onto a news drama because it works out for his benefit. He pretty much just treats it like that. We can clearly see, based on how Nuxtaku basically was ejected from that podcast the moment that it was beneficial to. It's unfortunate. Horror is mad. Horror is angry. I don't need you trying to half-heartedly defend my brothers and sisters in arms, nuts.
What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the actual terror support is insane. Like, there's another clip of Hassan saying, like, he did like this whole eulogy. He made a video titled "Israel Targets Another Journalist," and he's like, "Israel today killed a journalist, a friend of mine, Hassam Shabbat. He helped me so much with like information and stuff." And if you look at Hassam Shabbat for like 2 seconds, he's a Hamas sniper. He's a sniper terrorist that put on a journalist press badge, and he gave him like a whole eulogy on his channel. Like, there are unbelievable amounts of these.
Hey, let me watch this Mia Khalifa clip. Pull up right here. All right, I bet this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
Hottest Mia Khalifa porn you've ever seen?
I don't even remember.
My favorite one, the only one that I ever enjoyed, was about 2 minutes, where she was dressed as a slutty college girl, and she was failing math, and she says, "I may be bad at math, but I'm really good at sucking dick," and then starts to suck a professor's penis.
I think my favorite Mia Khalifa porn is when Mia Khalifa got absolutely fucked by the entire porn industry when they fired her for her opinions on October 7th.
Okay, let's see this one.
Good morning to everybody who is not in the U.S. military. Good morning to everybody who is sitting at home and not on soil that doesn't belong to them, fighting a war for a country that doesn't care about them. I hope you go over there and get your...
No, he didn't end the podcast because Nux is Jewish. That's not the reason. That's not the reason.
A little brain all scrambled up with PTSD, and then come back here and see how much the United States cares about you, Pookie. See how much they care about you when you come back with, "Oh, I'm so sad. I piss my pants every time I see a falafel stand in Manhattan." Let's see how much the VA cares about you. Let's see what they tell you to do with your little broken brain from going over to fight a war that's not yours. They're going to tell you to try breathing exercises because the U.S. government does not give a fuck about you once you cannot.
I don't know how people like actually have that much of an ego to think people give a fuck about their opinions because she got famous for just being a massive fucking whore.
It's crazy. And it's the whole squad. Like, here's a tweet of them all together. You know, Hassan and Kneecap and Mia Khalifa. It's the same. It's the Goon Squad, unironically. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. That's goofy, bro. That being said, say what you want about Hassan. He's so hot. But, you know, that's just me.
I guess the Mia Khalifa equivalent of Twitch stream.
Yeah, he's so hot, man. Like, if you were to open OnlyFans, I'd pay $4.99, 100%. You know that guy's balls are insane. Anyways.
I honestly, you know how much I would love Hassan to make an OnlyFans, knowing that the CEO of OnlyFans donates money to Israel, and Hassan
Please do not speak that into effort. I do not want to hear about that or see it on my timeline.
called out people for doing OnlyFans. It's like, dude.
Well, as much as I want to dunk on Hassan and, you know, Denims and Frogan and all them, I think my chat's kind of politicked out for a while. Do you want to talk about the Cinder situation? Because I'm curious. Because I know you've had just a refresher, are you comfortable talking about you got shit on by a lot of people in the V.
I don't think I've heard about the Cinder situation. I suppose this would be an opportunity to learn about it.
I can't remember what that was for.
I remember.
Are you comfortable talking about it?
No, sure, I can talk about it.
So what happened?
The VShojo one?
Yeah, the VShojo one. Yeah, what happened?
So, in a nutshell, there was this this group of doxer people that basically came together and they were like representing themselves as VShojo,
okay.
and they would try to get like people's information and say, hey, congratulations, you got into VShojo. And people were like, well, that's so cool. And they're like, well, here's the contract, just sign on the line or whatever. And they would end up doxing themselves. And then this doxer group would post their information online and swat them and harass them. So they tried to do this to me, and essentially I sussed them out a little bit. I gave them like fake info. I spoke to VShojo behind the scenes. They said, yeah, they knew about this. People were already doxed and swatted from these people. And I said, you got to make this public.
You posted in the thread while it was happening, Carl. I never looked at it. I probably didn't. My bad, Horror.
People are using your name to get to people, and you're not, and no one knows this is happening. Like, I didn't know this was happening.
Yeah.
So I basically made a video about it, talking about how it was happening, and obviously that made VShojo look a little bad at the time. And after that, I was kind of attacked by like every single VShojo person, plus just random people coming out of the woodwork. You know how it's like when you get canceled, and just
of
people
course,
just show up and be like, I always hated him.
Yeah,
he's always a monster.
Yeah, the dogpile mentality, 100%.
Yeah, true. Thank you for not dogpiling, by the way. Very cool.
Absolutely, of course. I was going to ask. So who are the people who dogpiled you? I think that we don't need
I don't need to bring up 5-year-old drama. I basically given all to everybody. It's maybe 3-4 years ago. It's a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't feel the need to. Yeah, I think it was like 4 years ago. I don't feel the need to do that kind of thing.
For sure. Yeah, I'm just trying to get caught up on what happened. Out of curiosity, and trust me, I understand the dogpile mentality because the moment this happened with me actually, by the way. I was in a beef with this guy called Atsu, and he feigned a suicide note to try to one up me. He did.
That's crazy.
And so many VTubers were on that post.
Wait, like actually a suicide note?
Yes.
Like he faked his death?
No, like he used enough terminology to lead people to believe that what the document was a suicide note. Like the first 20 pages read as a suicide note. It wasn't until
20 pages?
You should go check it out sometime. It wasn't until page 42 of a 62-page doc where he's
62 pages? That's a new record. Somebody better go tell Dark Viper AU. Jesus Christ.
By the way, guys, I'm not suicidal. Even though every terminology that was used in the first page and like first 20 pages, like, yeah, this is it. It's over. There's no reason to live anymore. And you chat can back me up on that one. They were all there for that. And yeah, a lot of VTubers were like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I can't believe he did this to you, before actually looking at the situation at all. So like, just man, I understand. It happens. But the VTuber clout chase is very dangerous on social media, and I do think it leads to a lot of unnecessary backlash happening to otherwise innocent people. It's kind of like when the whole Cinder drama was going on. I was like, I'm not going to give my opinion at all until I hear Cinder's side. I read every single document. I heard every single person's perspective, and I waited for Cinder to come out and talk herself. I even tried to DM her about 4 or 5 times. No response, unfortunately. Because I understand how people will run with the narrative. But after Cinder's response was so fucking terrible, I was like, oh, okay, so she's just actually a piece of shit. Now, that being said, I'm sure you'd agree, what Cinder's done, a lot of VTubers have also done. They're just not calling the public.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Like, I remember during my VShojo drama, for example, basically all of my friends in the VTuber sphere got messages from people, whatever, no need to bring people into the public here, but got messages from people saying, if you ever associate with Nux, we're going to make sure you have no future in the VTuber industry. And obviously, that's pretty terrifying.
Oh, yeah. Hey, trust me, same thing happened to me.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah, they said,
I got messages.
It happens to everybody. It's even happened to me.
By the way, lots of messages not to hang out with you. Not during that Genshin drama, but during the
other stuff,
the allegations with no evidence drama.
Yeah, of course. Which is always very fun. Trust me. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous how a fucking crying woman can ruin somebody's fucking life with no proof whatsoever, even though they're already proven, documented to be mentally unstable. It's fucking unbelievable. But don't worry. Eventually we'll get justice for that. And the good news is you get to learn who the snakes are, and that's what's really nice.
That is true. I say that basically every time I get into drama.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, that's good. Now I know there are more snakes. Woo!
Yep.
They just completely did not explain at all what the Cinder drama was without bringing it up as though everybody was going to be abreast of it. Let's click this. 19. It was probably the number 19 that made me not click on this. That's my bad. Alright. Speed round. Because they did a horrible job explaining the Cinder drama, and now I am curious and would like to know actually what the fuck they are discussing. So, 3 victims, Nanless Bunny, Bile the Whale, and Lomaya AF Nyx are 3 victims that then, following a post from Cinder, effective immediately redacted, is no longer managing or overseeing my VTuber activities, no longer representing me as a creator, my brand, or my intentions. I'm sorry, everyone. I'll make a larger response when able. Redditors added context. They thought they might want to know. Cinder revealed themselves, as well as Vampire Peach's VT that Redacted Red was Cinder's partner. Moreover, per Bow's and analysts in Cinder Bell's accounts, Redacted acted with Cinder's knowledge and consent, both of which was directly engaged with libel towards other creators, including a tweet, doc, another doc, and an X post. There was a picture of the accused making an announcement on nixing their significant other. A follow-up post from Azera D, quoting Nanolis with their own Google Doc. Cinder then dropping their own Google Doc. Jeans Comfortable Jeans, Jeans Strip Fiends featuring Jeans of Jeans TV, saying, I don't think the Cinder apology doc is doing so hot, guys. Post from Cinder TV, my apologies. Shy Lily comes through. I remember all the memes about this. It was all over the timeline. Shy Lily drops her message here. The absolute audacity to sit here and continue to manipulate and gaslight is of absolute insanity. The pain and mental torment you've caused to the ones closest to the most supportive to you has been devastating. I've never been so heartbroken and hurt badly for my friends. You are the fakest person I've ever had the displeasure of supporting, reading and hearing about how you viewed me behind my back, not just through screenshots of your man, but also your own messages, while having you sit here and read through these bullshit lies. Span made me want to vomit. To claim that you didn't know a single thing and had zero awareness of what your man was up to, when everyone who shared a single moment with you knows that you basically operate as the same person, sharing every waking moment with each other, loving to jump into the slightest opportunity, turn to your most slanderous self as soon as ... and then a response from Bao, then a response from Sayui, and then a response from Volpixie. Ouch, my neck. Which then led to a slew of blowouts from victims. Another victim by the name of Rain getting involved with Cinder. Clips from Bao on their stream explaining and recounting their reactions with them on air. And then 2 videos of which Horror is suggesting for the simulation basic rundown. First of the drama, then of Cinder's response.
A popular VTuber named Cinder had multiple...
And it's actually longer than the fucking video of this guy. Ah! Okay. Shelve this for a second. We're going to look into that once we're done with this clip. Because I'm about to start clicking through it.
In part 1 of this series...
Because I do not feel like I need to see the rest of the clip from Tectone.
I will say, I've probably only been caught off guard maybe 4 or 5 times in my career. Because like, there are some people who I'll talk to where I'm just like, okay, well, you're going to turn on me one day, but let's enjoy this ride while we can. Because you're so fun. But then there were some people where I'm like, wow, damn, you need to reach out to me? Fucking 5 DMs left unread? That's fucking nuts. All right, well, I guess it's like that. That's only happened very few times. Because you and me, we're pretty good Among Us players, so we can kind of tell a little bit more than the average Joe can. But yeah, it's definitely...
When we're not
Among Us.
When we're not cheating, you know.
Of course. Of course. Yeah, it's definitely very... It left a sour taste in my mouth, but... Do you think...
Yeah, no, it's awful.
I want to know in your perspective, and then we'll drop it entirely. What do you think the shoujo thought from their perspective that made them so angry?
I don't want to hear their opinion about it.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. I think that's what my play would be. What's the play?
Oh, fuck.
What's the play? Because I know what my play would be. How about I go first? What do you think of yours?
I'd be too humiliated to come back, to be honest. I really would, because Cinder's... Okay, I urge you...
So they're still talking about it here?
Me
What was your
personally...
take? The life hack.
It's like, what are we doing here, bro?
He doesn't have chapters or thumbnails on this like he had on his last piece of content, so I'm pushing through them.
Like, what are we doing? It's
Maybe drop working with Bao and Silvervale.
an insane career advantage.
True.
But it's exhausting.
True.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. The VTuber space has issues like any other space. I think
Still talking about it?
per hour, depending on you have open.
Wait,
Which makes sense, I guess.
Wait, they cut the amount how much you pay per hour for how many streams you have open?
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
Like if you're multi-streaming, they'll pay you, I think, half per hour or something.
That makes sense. You got anything else
That's probably him talking about Kick.
in your mind, or is that just about wrap up everything that's you had in your head?
Yep, Hassan, Cinder. I mean, that's kind of what's going on.
Okay.
I guess.
Have you are you playing any games these days, or what's your content like?
It's mostly...
Okay, not necessary. Now, on to this. Jesus fucking Christ. Dude is more scatterbrained than somebody could accuse me of being. Right. The thing broke? No, it didn't. It actually worked this time properly. Saber Spark shit should be a whole stream. Okay. Double.
Documents dropped on her this weekend over the course.
I need to adjust the sound quality. 1 second. Stop this.
Course of just a few hours. All
And about here.
A popular VTuber named Cinder had multiple documents dropped on her this weekend over the course of just a few hours, all exposing her for essentially sabotaging her close friends' careers. When VTuber artist Nanolist put out a statement against Cinder, all hell broke loose in the community. In the document, Nanolist revealed that Cinder and her manager tried to manipulate Nanolist into canceling existing model commissions with other VTubers, some of whom were even close friends to Cinder, and lied to them about the reason behind the cancellation so that way Cinder would be the only person with Nano's special art style. And once this was all revealed, the other VTubers mentioned in the doc put out their own responses, showing that sometimes Cinder would even message these same friends directly about Nano on the same day she was crafting the scheme with her and her manager, acting completely clueless to the sabotage that she was setting up. Along with this, a spoiler warning in a separate document, it is revealed that the manager was actually her boyfriend the entire time, and a few years back she was caught cheating on him. Welcome to the internet versus Cinder. And timestamps below are all the different documents that we covered in this video, so feel free to skip ahead if you've already seen some of these. It starts when Nanolist tweets out, "Hello, I'm here to share something that has affected me personally and hurt others. This was very hard for me, but I feel it is necessary. Please do not send hate to anyone on my behalf. This is all I want to say. Introduction and notes. I wanted to share my experience with Cinder and Red manipulating me, using me, and dragging me into drama while sabotaging, slandering, and spreading lies about people I thought were her closest friends. Not only do I no longer wish to work with Cinder, but I want to share what I've endured over the years and shed light on what she has been doing to people behind people's backs to protect artists and friends that may be experiencing something similar. I struggled a lot with writing this document and wasn't sure if what I felt and experienced working was real or just burnouts, but I think this proves that I was lied to and manipulated over the course of years while working with Cinder. Notes. Based on working with Redacted, Red, Cinder's manager, and Cinder over the years, that I'm sure they speak for each other and there's no reason to believe Red was acting without Cinder's consent and knowledge. Whenever I use they or them, it refers to both of them acting as a team. English not being my first language and the language barrier, I discussed the situation, my feelings and thoughts with native English speakers who helped me put them into words so everything is clear without misunderstanding due to lack of English skills. Note. Any names that are censored here were censored because the creator in question did not provide consent to have their name revealed by the time of me posting this document. Slandering other creators. I will start with sharing screenshots showing them speaking ill of other creators and spreading rumors while manipulating me that it's all in our best interest. In addition to spreading ill rumors, they also complain and accuse Bao of giving their editor too much work, resulting in the editor not having any time for new clients, which will be important later on. The screenshots below show them showing their affection and appreciation immediately, followed by spreading rumors and lies to make other clients feel problematic to manipulate any future decision regarding commissions. And it starts with Nanolist saying, "Of course, I wanted to understand it better, especially if I cancel her for the second time." Well, in Redacted says, "Well, with blank, she's given a lot of bias and priority to GS, sometimes over Cinder. We can't really confront them about it. And plus, she's on 3D lately. Bao has been getting on her nerves for a while. She hijacked our YouTube editor a while ago and is constantly picking up artists that we work with. We've gotten to know her better, being friends with her, but she really rubs us the wrong way with the things she does. We wanted to try and safeguard our most important artist from her since she's already taken our editor. I don't mean taken like he doesn't work with us anymore, he does. But he has to dedicate time for her now, and sometimes that gets in the way of our projects. Also, one of Bao's indie editors is the one that did the boss rush MV, and we're 99% sure she told him not to do it anymore with us. But like the model art is the most important thing. That's a VTuber's image. Then we have more where it starts with Redacted saying, "Well, we love working with you. Cinder wouldn't be Cinder without Nano." Okay, but like, let me tell you the tea about the MV thing. Bao had original songs last year that had MVs by her editor, and the songs flopped. Her editor met us at TwitchCon and was saying that he loved to work with us, practically jumping through hoops to get something planned. We managed to have him squeeze in the boss rush MV between his work with Bao. He says he loved working on it and is super excited to work on the next MV project. Boss Rush's song blows up, and he's credited as the editor. I asked him when he's free to do the next project. All of a sudden, he changes his mind and is only working with Bao going forward. No explanation. And Analyst reacts with Monka S, and then Redacted says, "There's some context missing since we know how Bao is behind the scenes, but basically we don't have an MV editor now for our next boss rush project. So we think Bao got pissed that her editor did an original song MV for her friends without her knowing, and it did 100 times better than her original songs last year that she locked him up so no one else could work with him, and then had him make it public on Twitter that he was only working with her going forward, like a literal
Interesting.
announcements. And now she's been barking up the tree of one of her L2D animators. So like, and you, and a Nano model. And Analyst responds, "Yeah, looking for me sounds sus for sure." And Redacted says, "It's so annoying. I don't know, man." And Analyst says, "Oh." And Redacted says, "She has a way of guilt tripping people to get her way." The document continues saying, "Red asked me to cancel one of their closest friends, Bao, by asking me to cancel my work mid-progress, manipulating me into thinking it's okay since she has many connections and she'll be fine anyway, so I wouldn't feel guilty about it or worry too much." It wasn't.
So she literally tried to litigate money and emotions and clout to try and cut her friends out of having an editor that would be making a VTube rig for them and image references with their art style. So they could be the only person who had the art style because she really wanted it that badly. That's some haterade bullshit.
And it's upsetting to me that Red contacted me specifically to check on me canceling the model I had planned with Bao. And then there's more DMs starting with Redacted saying, "Did you cancel models?" And Nano says, "I did not." And Redacted says, "Nano arc delayed to 2026." And Nano says, "I'm scared to cancel with Bao." And Redacted says, "You shouldn't be. She has so many connections. She'll find someone super fast. Did you already design her outfit? I remember her showing it to us at WeCon." And Nano says, "Yeah, I can give her the design for free as an apology gift. Exclusivity and blacklisting other creators." And the messages below, they mentioned wanting an exclusivity contract, but they didn't want to pay for exclusivity. But rather, when a creator from their blacklist comes asking for a commission, they would guarantee me model work for Cinder only, and if anyone asked me for commissions, they'd commission me instead to compensate for not working with other creators. This felt very strange given that one of the accusations they made was overworking their editor. The other solution to me working with other creators was for them to essentially overwork me to keep me from working on other projects. The messages below show that the primary concern is that the more non-Cinder models I make, the less valuable my existing models become. It's hard to say how much this messes with my mind as an artist that by working with other people, I'm somehow making my existing models less special. Following screenshots of them setting up the blacklist, saying I'm not allowed to work with any new clients or create any new outfits for VTuber 1 specifically, and justifying those things by saying that with each model, my art becomes less unique and special, and therefore Cinder somehow will become less special. Screenshot below. The idea that my work as an artist and designer is devalued by working with other people is insane and hurtful. After realizing what taking a deal with them would really mean for both my workload and my mental health, I backed out. And it starts with Redacted saying, "I mean, like, if we want to have some kind of model exclusivity, what would you need to make that sustainable for you?" And Analyst says, "Maybe you can share one of your ideas and I can check what I think." Okay, so I got some ideas for this, I guess. And Redacted says, "I was driving. What are you thinking?" And Analyst says, "Okay, so ask for help from my friends. They don't know, so don't worry. So a monthly fee, calculating my monthly earnings. Also, how long would this be and if this counts for models I already worked on?" Redacted replies, "Well, I think the main things we're looking for are for you not to take any brand new model clients and to not make any new models models/outfits with blank again. You'd still be able to work on models/outfits with all of your other existing babies, and your artwork comms wouldn't be affected. One of our concerns is that more nano babies means nano models don't have the same value anymore. And the second is that there's a few people that we would just rather not be able to have a model from you. Maybe not any new babies at all. The reason why I brought this up at all is that there's a lot of bias within another one of our partners with certain creators, and we'd rather these creators and not have what makes Cinder unique, which is your artwork. What about we can pay blank for you, and you don't have to discount it from the next payment, and we'll continue giving you lots of model work. I think about 4 this year right now, but you don't work with blank or blank at all. Again, models or arts. I don't think you've ever done anything with blank or blank before. We also have another GS label for you too, the AFK. And Analyst says, is there any way to add a little bit more since blank still asks for arts every now and then? And Redacted replies, we could do it like when blank asks for arts, you tell her no, and then tell us to buy another piece. Like, so you still get a job from it. So document continues by saying, another example of speaking ill of other creators right after they saw I was working with Shy Lily, trying to once again make the idea of working with other clients seem like I'm setting myself up with problematic people who will do me no good in the long run to get me to consider working with them. They also continuously kept asking about my other clients' plans, which for them made the antenna go up and immediately went into slandering Lily. They consistently try to reassure me that despite their best efforts, they just happen to keep trying to bring drama in as reasons for me to go exclusive, and that working only with Cinder is them trying to look out for me. And the first message is Redacted saying, hey Nano, do you have any more plans with Lily besides just the model, like outfits or merch or anything? And Nano says, been just the model so far. And Redacted replies, okay, her asking for a model recently just made the antenna go up. She's been acting weird towards Cinder lately, and we don't know if something's going on. And Nano says, oh, that's weird. And Redacted replies, ever since after the V card launched. And Nano says, but what you considered weird? And Redacted says, lately dipping on the collabs they were both a part of last minute, and now ghosting her messages. Cinder's rated her a couple times the past week, and Lily won't acknowledge Cinder by name. And Analyst replies with an image, and Redacted says, just like a weird petty stuff, I don't know. And Analyst says, that's super weird since they both share the same store lol. And Redacted says, around V card's launch they were talking and collabing, and I don't know what happened. But her asking for a model after that was just weird. Even though she said she doesn't plan on getting a new model anytime soon. I don't know. Hate that we keep bringing you into drama. And Analyst says, yeah, I thought it was quite early to go for a new model. Blank look a bit menacing, so I don't talk to her. And Redacted says, feels like we're gonna have to compete with Lily if she's ghosting Cinder and wants the same model mama. The document continues, the idea that they need to stay informed and engage the competition is extremely upsetting and toxic to me. The competition they're referring to are people I thought they considered friends, who always helped to support it in platform Cinder. When I pushed back, the immediate response was blaming the other creators and implying that they initiated it by trying to work with me and then somehow justified their actions. They imply Lily ignored Cinder when she spent over.
They initiated deserving to be blacklisted from having good art because they came to you for good art, so it's their fault.
A minute and thanking the raid, which you can see in this clip, and attach this clip.
Okay. Oh my goodness! Hello! Oh! Hello, raiders! Hello! I am playing Berserker. The last Berserker Kazan. We were sponsored, but the game was really fun, so I just kept playing for like a million more hours. Hello everyone! Hello! The Pyro Pop raid! Hello Pyro Pops! What did you guys do? What is raiding me? Okay, so usually it's have you been on Twitch for a while? It used to be hosting. Well, it isn't really hosting. Like raiding is basically throwing someone's community in someone else's chat. It used to be their host feature back in the days, except when hosting you kind of were more or less forced offline. But when raiding you can technically stay online and go back online, but people just use it as a host feature, as the replacement for a host feature. That was discontinued.
The document continues with Redacted saying, Wheel, is it just Cinder and Blank you've been doing continuous model outfits for? We'll have a demon update list plus final arcade reference for you soon as soon as it's finished. And Analyst says, I think it is. I have an outfit for Blank plan too. As for Blank, got nothing for now. But she always comes up with something. And Redacted says, do you know who's rigging Lily's model? And Analyst says, gonna be Blank. And Redacted replies, thanks Nano, sorry for all the questions. Just gotta stay informed, especially when it comes to our top artists. Never a break. And Nano says, don't worry, just don't stress too much about the side things. It's bad for balding. And Redacted replies, I'm gonna go bald now. I'll keep you in the loop about anything else going on with that. And Nano says, the balding? And Redacted says, no you fool, just stupid drama. Gotta stay competitive. Even when we shouldn't have to. Also your PFP looks like a guy with a mustache. And Analyst says, bonk, don't go too far on the competitiveness. It can get bad. Gotta chill sometimes. And Redacted says, hey, it's not us. And Analyst replies with this image, and Redacted says, we aren't the ones getting a model from the artist of the other GS owner out of the blue and ghosting them and refusing to acknowledge them. The document continues, below I went to push back and make it clear I was uncomfortable in being dragged in drama, and they responded by bringing up more drama and baseless claims, all while trying to guilt trip me. It is ironic and crazy to me that I mentioned not wanting to be dragged into personal issues, only for them to on multiple occasions mention other people's alleged drama in his DMs, starting with Analyst saying, Cinder, just wanted to say sorry for stepping back on the exclusivity deal. Wanted to apologize personally too, since I've only talked about that with Red, but I just don't want to be dragged into any personal issues like that. After all, Blank's still a client, and it makes me anxious and kind of destroys my mental to do this kind of deal. Just wanted to let you know I still love working with you in Red, but I'll understand if things don't work out because of Blank. I just love my clients, that's all. And Cinder replies, I get it, Nano, and it wasn't fair to push this on you, but it's just really confusing going back and forth about it. I just get compared to her a lot, even still today, and it's like I'm always living in someone's shadow, which is one reason why Red asked about not making any more models for her. And when you said I understand if things don't work out, it makes me feel like you're okay with not working with me anymore, which hurts so much after all this time. I appreciate you, Nano, and it's your decision who you ultimately work with, but this is how I've been feeling. And Analyst replies, I don't really see the point of keeping thinking about being compared to Blank. You're so much bigger already, and you've done so much more. But I would never give Blank any priority over you. Also, they're not even any model for her being discussed. I just want to sleep clear-minded. Also, I'm fine not doing her models, but at least the gamer stuff's art stuff would be fine with me. I don't want to be 100% an asshole to her, that's all. And Cinder replies, it's not me, but other people's opinions of us. And I'm just trying to not get involved in any drama that other people want to talk about comparing us. But I understand where you're coming from, Nano. There's no hard feelings. And Nano says, sorry about this. My mental is just a bit weak. And Cinder replies, same girl. And Nano says, I'm so sorry for bringing this to you. And Cinder says, I want you to get that money. The whole situation is just kind of sucky. I want to just get along. And Nano replies, I understand if things don't work out about this. It'd be mostly if you hate me for not burning Blank down from my list. And Cinder replies, I would never hate you. And Nano says, thank you and same. I'm just an insecure bitch. And Cinder replies, I love everything we've done together and I want to keep doing more. People just saying dumb shit online, it just makes me stressed. And the document continues, justifying their behavior by stating that they're simply looking out for me when none of this has anything to do with me to begin with, and manipulating me into being grateful for earning well thanks to them, despite the loss of work from long-time returning clients and new clients. Concerning my work and models as a team. Another example of going after other clients of mine from before, claiming that having more clients alongside them makes my work less special with the reoccurrence of it's just business. Manipulating me into believing that working with her is special for multiple reasons, and that I risk losing that special something as a client if I prefer to work with others. No acknowledgement for my reasoning and need of working with other clients due to the nature of my work. Solely focused on their issues. I would also like to note that this screenshot is one of many occasions that indicated that Red speaks on Cinder's behalf. I was originally concerned with everything going through Red, that it may not have been 100% of Cinder's feelings or once, so I messaged her about it to make sure that he spoke on her behalf and confirmed with both of them that this was the case. The DM started with Nano saying, hey Cinder, hope you're doing okay. I talked with Red and I believe he talked to you already, and I thought it would be best if I just check here personally. Actually, I want to know better your thoughts because Red tried to talk to me and I think I misunderstood things. And Cinder replies, I'm doing good. What's up, Nano? Nano says, oh, it's mostly about this. It's a screenshot of Redacted saying, not to discredit any of your work because everything you work on is the top of the line incredible, but when everyone's a Nano baby, it feels less special to be one, if that makes sense. Kind of been getting the same feeling from gamer subs lately too. And Nano continues, I thought on canceling some models because of it, but then I realized it's not really fair to me. And Cinder replies, I understand what he means, but at the end of the day, it's just business. Of course, we love working with you and want to keep working together, but if you prefer to work with other clients instead of me, I know it's for a reason for you to help grow and not because you don't like me. Being one of your very first model babies was so amazing. I was happy to be able to find someone to help you with LTV cutting to improve your skills, and I think that's a big part of why everyone loved the 1.0 model and then started asking you for them.
So you use your relationship with them to try and guilt trip them, saying that you're happy that you were the first person that was amused for them, to then get them work with their material. While actively just doing this for what? Just so that you can have the ability to say that my model was made by this person and nobody else has it? eventually that doesn't work anymore. They would just hire new people. That's probably some of the most scumbag shit you could possibly do. And the fact that this is all set up by you and your boyfriend and or slash husband. Because if you wanted them to grow and become a better content creator, why would you stop them from getting work from your friends? Wouldn't it then be better for all of you all to shine together using the art from this artist? My confusion is isn't not understanding what they did. I don't understand what the goal was and how this helps her by doing this. I'm trying to understand the evil, and I think the problem is that I can't understand the evil because it doesn't have an operant goal. Like, I want the artist. I've cock-blocked my friends from having the art. I get to have the art myself. The content creator becomes more popular because I was the first muse that helped them refine their style. I then stop other people from getting that person's art perpetually, permanently, so that I'm the only person who has the background? Wouldn't they start asking questions? Clearly they did. Wouldn't it lead to them asking questions as to why they can't seem to get new clients and the only person they have to work off of is them? Why not all of you all get work from this artist so that you can all brag about the fact that you had your art made by this artist, which then helps them, which then helps all of you together so that you can all work together? Is it just greed? Must just be greed. Okay.
For them. I can have Red send you a list of our plans for the future and estimated due dates, so just let us know what you actually want to work on. That way I have time to look for someone else if you don't have time for my projects or don't want to do them. It feels special to only have your model art for all my outfits, but just let me know if you don't have time for me to be an exclusive Nano Arts baby anymore. And Nano replies, it's no personal reason. I would never do something like this to you or anyone. But yeah, it's important for my job to reach far, and I like working on different projects and people. I never said I don't want to work with you anymore. I told Red, even though I have my other works, I'll always have a way to get you priority spot when possible. You'll always be my special baby. And Tinder replies, I also think it's important for you to work on projects that you're excited about. So I'll go through my plans with Red and send you ideas to see if it's possible with your schedule. I know it can be a little pushy sometimes, but it's because he's just doing business for me to grow too. And he absolutely loves your work just as much as I do. And Nano says, it's okay, we'll update you guys ASAP. And Tinder replies, sounds good to me. The document continues. Red tries to make it look like they never meant for it to appear like they wanted me to be exclusive by framing it as something I wanted, while immediately doubling down on the fact that me working with more people makes my work less special and no longer unique. As if every design is just a Cinder clone. And it's Nano saying, so it's about working with Cinder. My friends told me it's a bit unfair for me to stop other models, so I do more for Cinder, which I agree with them. I'm a free artist and I should do whatever I want to do. I don't want to take sides in any drama or situations. I still will always have a way to open a slot for Cinder, but I won't be having her as my only customer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How did Cinder not see this coming? Huh? Also, addressing that, just wait for me to do the Saberspark stuff as a versus chat later on this week. I'm going to do it sitting down so that I can understand everything happening. It's best to do that in that way. We got it. Also, that's crazy. Like, one of the many things that usually makes stories interesting is that you want to understand how the evil person does the evil thing and how they rationalize the logic. But at no point in time did Cinder even stop to think, actually, they can just have more clients. Like, I could be the best of their first clients and then have proprietary response because I was the one that helped them become popular and do it first. But she's just like, no, you can have nobody else. Only for me. You can only draw for me. You ain't paying him like he should only draw for you. So what the fuck?
I'm a free artist and I should do whatever I want to do. I don't want to take sides in any drama or situations. I still will always have a way to open a slot for Cinder, but I won't be having her as my only customer. And Redactor replies, I agree, you're a free artist and you should do what you want. But I was under the impression that taking on more Cinder work is what you wanted to do. I didn't think it was like we were making you do that. And Nano says, I guess we got a misunderstanding on both sides. It's more about this. And then Nano links a text that we read earlier that was sent to them by Redactor that they then messaged to Cinder. And Redactor replies, oh, I see. I mean, what I said is still true about how we feel, but I wasn't saying you had to only do Cinder work from now on. That's with anything though, not just your work. If you have something special and then everyone once again gets that thing, it makes it less special. I'm sorry you were under the impression we were trying to make you only do work for us. I will keep things more business talk and less emotional. Well, just let me know how this will affect your schedule so I can tell Cinder after. Sorry for the stress now. And Nano replies, but every single model I do is unique and I make them special in their way. It's not like I'm selling Cinder to everyone. Please don't feel this way. And Redacted says, no, I know. You pour your heart and soul into your models, and they're all incredible. And Nano says, I'm sorry I made you both feel this way too. The document continues, it's simply business. Normalizing their behavior once again by stating that it's simply business to sabotage other VTubers' careers and not work with them and focus on Cinder instead. And it starts with
That's bullshit, but that's pretty much like the modus operandi I've seen from most VTubers that people keep telling me about. Also, is his name actually redacted, or is that what he renamed himself as when he decided to try and disappear and cover all this up? Because people calling him redacted is actually making it hard to follow who's what. I'm gonna give him a dumbass name like Aaron A. Anderson. Because I know that I'm not that big into VTweeters. And I'm not big into VTubers. And I'm not big into the particular brand of VTubers that most people watch. But I know that the difference between a VTuber and a VTweeter is that a VTweeter is somebody who is just known for being a content creator who they are pre-debut, they either do not stream often or stream very, very lazily, and they basically use their feed to give non-stop takes about politics or shit that they should not need to involve themselves in, that they choose to make their personal attitude or their everyday opinion that people do not want to hear about. Hence, NVTubers and VTweeter. If this is a person that has enough of a backing, that they are popular enough, for what reason, we're going to call him Red, for what reason would Redacted need to go around backstabbing other VTubers because it's just business? No, it's not just business. If anything, VTubing is a new paradigm and a new frontier of content creation where people that don't want to be influencers because of their appearances are actually able to prove that they can hold an audience based on their personality. If not just because of the novelty and then the refreshing quality of their personalities alongside their models. Me personally, I don't care all about the models because I like real women. But the idea that somebody chooses to design a 1930s Max Fleischer cartoon, Pumpkin Potion, or someone like before the Shark, who I guess has come back as the new persona as a part of Phase Connect, which was Gargura, can present themselves as a small woman presenting as a shark, and whatever high concept they come up with can entertain people for hours on end with presentations that are done on the other side of the spectrum of VTubing, which for the most of the time was dominated by Code Miko. Because even though Code Miko is Code Miko, for the longest of time, the idea that this person is just like, we know that it's a real person, but they just refuse to ever show up at events where they are not physically there. And then when they started doing the half-and-half shit where she's showing off the rig and what it can do and the possibilities it can have to allow them to modify their appearance on the spot with new outfits and new dresses, it's an opportunity for anybody to possibly demonstrate how unhinged they are. But what it ends up being is that a handful of women and some guys basically become popular with a various amounts of in-jokes and audience jokes, which then leads to an unironic Marvel Cinematic Universe full of other streamers and other content creators. Like, it's been normalized by the fact that the creativity truly is like a Barbie movie and a Barbie commercial, which is that life truly is your creation. And this has led to people being more interested in broadcasting because they realize they don't have to be like all the content that's being made by all the other content creators. They don't have to be a V-Girl Ihor. They can actually just have a personal experience with a content creator. And then they meet another content creator. And it builds. And it snowballs. Reinventing, basically, the collaborative streamer wheel. Not everybody does it, but there used to be accounts that did puppets that did this. I know because Piper is one of those content creators who, with her VTuber persona, she also has a sock puppet persona because she designed her own puppet with this group of other people who also does puppetry. Puppets, PNG tubers, puppet VTubers, puppet content creators and YouTubers, comedians that use similar puppets of similar design, because apparently some of the puppets that some people use are actually the same puppet that another person has. And they'll sometimes do crossover where they'll use the puppet for one person's design, like that for the Professor character that's done by Dr. Ramarikam, versus another puppet that uses the exact same puppet as the basis for their custom. That collaborative nature and the insular nature of an entire world tied off from real world, as we now call ourselves, flesh tubers, IRLs, allowed for an interplay where the two of these things could intermesh, technically three things, the PNG tubers, the flesh tubers, and the VTubers, could intermesh and create a wider glandular world of conflux where it doesn't matter that they stream like this. If, by all intentions, I know who they are, the kayfabe is more important. But it's not necessarily kayfabe. It's just they don't need you to know that they are medium ugly, or smoking hot, or extremely attractive with their shirt off, if they're a guy. Because it's not about you seeing them and being attracted to them because of their model. You're supposed... My mouth was trying to say whiter, but I said whiter. Don't bully me for my French mouth, Grace. They're supposed to be popular because they demonstrated that they have talent that is slept upon. Now, I know that there are some VTubers that they just simply use it as a justification to be like, this ain't my body, I can make it as slutty as I want to. Give me money, boys, woo! I know that they exist. We've seen plenty of them. We've obviously seen plenty of the AGP ones that try to become Madeline, and they somehow fail at basically being a Bostonite accent with a Meowth accent voice. The less said about some of them, the better. Honeypop has been like crack to some of them. They just figured I can get away with doing it by whatever means. This is not about the fact that some of them are transgender. It's the fact that they were trying to still be VTubers. The fact that there are people that don't understand that most of the success of the VTubers are because of that interconnected web of broadcasting and camaraderie, which then leads them to discover more people, is half the reason why VTubing truly hasn't been appreciated for what it is. So despite not watching a lot of them, I understand what makes them possible. Which is why I'm so fucking confused by Cinder's behavior and action. How and why would you destroy the camaraderie and the fun that your friends would have had having the same editor / artist design their work as you did? How does that take away from your shine? And why would you destroy yourself and your friendships over jealousy and greed and ego? For what reason did you need to bury them, as you attempted to, and fortunately failed to, just because you wanted to have exclusivity with a certain artist? Unironically, this is like somebody trying to steal a sponsor back in the day, where I try to pay Bach to make me a special song, or I pay Leonardo da Vinci to paint me a special picture, or chisel me a special statue that only I get to have. That kind of exclusivity comes with a very high price. If you're not willing to pay it, who are you to try and control them? Gura hasn't joined FaZe. You're thinking of Mari Mari, who is a goldfish. Thank you. Where did Gura go, by the way? Has she made a re-debut after being released, or is that still in FaZe? I don't know. Anyways, back to this. How and why would you backstab your group and fuck up what should be a clear and honest and open bag? Everybody eats, everybody wins. Why? For me, it's not just the making sense of the feeling of betrayal, it's the machinations. What was the end goal, Sweets? What was the end goal? Hindsight, though. Hindsight, and technically pause, Andy. Anyways, back to it.
Is saying, it's okay, Nano. You're just making a living and making a name for yourself. And I can't blame you for accepting work from other big names in the industry and having very desirable talents. If you end up feeling your model stage again like it was, let me know. We'll have to replan some things depending on that. And Nano says, thank you for understanding my side. We're all trying to have our name somewhere. Just don't take this personal or anything. I still love working with you guys. And again, apologize for the trouble on your plans. I'll still revisit my list and see what I got. Interacted says, business is business. If you want to go through the projects we talked about, then let me know which ones you want to do too. And then he replies to the I don't want to take any sides message and says, is this about blank model, Nano? And Nano says, yeah, I want to take it, but I don't want to disrespect Cinder. I just want to do pretty models. No hurt.
Oh, she just outright retired. I see. Okay. Whole thing about management.
Feelings. Interactive replies, business is business, and Nano replies with the crying emoji. Interactive says, Nano, you're a freelance artist and Blank is a long-time client, so it makes sense to continue doing work for her. I understand the logistics of it. At the end of the day, you need to do what's best for you. And Nano says, I really appreciate you understanding my side. I do understand your side too, but sadly it's something between you two and not me. I should not get involved in this fight. I just go art for her. Interactive says, right, I know. I just didn't think our other conversation sounded like I was trying to make you not work with her on a model, like Blank specifically. And Nano says, maybe I just considered the situation too much. My mistake for thinking this way. Interactive says, it's okay. And Nano says, but are we good for real? This feels like a weird breakup. I'm stressing. Interactive says, me and you are good, but I still have to tell all this to Cinder. It'll be fine. Don't worry. I think she's still sleeping. The document continues. Damage control. Making sure none of this reaches the other VTubers and is all kept hush-hush, while also providing proof that they know what they do is ill-intended and it should not get out, as it would cause issues for Cinder's career to be painted in this light. Note that the uncalled shot at VTuber 1 is even spoilered. I had a message in Discord, so it wouldn't accidentally be linked. And Nano says, I try to be transparent as much as possible, and I think it's more fair for both sides this way. Interactive says, you didn't tell Blank you canceled because of Cinder, did you? And Nano says, no. I told all of them it was health issues. Interactive replies with an emoji, and then Nano says, I would never blame anyone else besides Blank. Interactive says, well, we never want to make you feel like we're making you or forcing you to work on / not work on something, especially if it's something you want to / don't want to do. And our conversation the other day wasn't meant to convince you.
And you're laughing with them about that. Try to be as transparent. I think it's more both of both sides. You didn't tell Blank that you canceled because of Cinder. No, I told them because of health issues. And then they react with a ghost emoji, and then you hit them with a smiling kek emoji. That's really dirty. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Blank. Interactive says, well, we never want to make you feel like we're making you or forcing you to work on / not work on something, especially if it's something you want to / don't want to do. And our conversation the other day wasn't meant to convince you of only doing Cinder work. Again, sorry that it sounded like I was telling you to only do Cinder work. I'll message you later. And then there's another message of him saying, well, let's see if Blank wants a nano model or not, and hope that Blank finds someone else. The document continues the constant obsession with VTuber 1 and claiming that she's asking for it by causing this unspoken competition, which is coming from absolutely no other source than Cinder herself. And the document continues with Redacted saying, I think it's more like wanting her to recognize Cinder even though it really doesn't matter. I feel like there's this unspoken competition between them. Like they need to one up each other because Blank can't get along. But I also understand her point of view. A new VTuber who people say looks, sounds, and acts like you becomes just as successful as you in a year. If she did recognize Cinder as an equal or friend, then it would be like she's endorsing her copy, or like I've seen some people say her replacement. They share a lot of the same audience too. Like at the end of the day, it isn't about how much we make compared to her. We just want her to recognize, hey, Cinder's a big VTuber too. She got there on her own merits just like you did. Get along. And the marketing potential.
That's the most retarded logic, and that's stupid as shit. Also, thank you for the context. Brand Face had multiple months of long breaks between 2023 and 2025 due to burnout and Hall Alive making her do Brian stuff in concert rehearsals. I see. Okay, that's cool. Thank you for that. Like, at the end of the day, it isn't much about how we make compared to her. We want her to recognize that, hey, she's a big VTuber too, and she got there grassroots, just like you did, so you should get along. And the marketing potential and money that they could have made if they had teamed up. I just know anything that we do, she's watching and she will either take from or try to outdo. If she recognized Cinder as an equal or a friend, then it would have been like endorsing her copy, and that they share a lot of the same audience too. So that's the fucking point that I'm making here. You have less reason to try and play a game of one-up chicken ship. You could just simply sit down and say, if we have a problem with each other, let's try to become closer by making some type of friendship where we are going to be acknowledging this rather than speaking quietly and attempting to backstab about this, like a bridezilla trying to steal ideas for her own wedding from her sister's wedding. I don't think any of that shit fucking matters when it comes to content creators and them having friends that they make work with. So, for example, why the fuck would I care if they're the same people who view my content or the same people who watch and consume and view Jay's content? If anything, I would want to help build with Jay so that she and I make content together. Because if I'm one bald head and she's the other bald head, we come together like butt cheeks. And then we do shit together and have fun together, both in front of and out of the view of the camera. so that when something happens, everybody can get involved. There's no need for jealousy. There's no need for anxiety. There's no need for worry or concern. Any problems she and I have personally, y'all don't need to fucking hear about unless it's something that she or I felt that we needed to vent about, because we talked about this on her stream literally that night about how Ethan Klein was fucking over, or getting fucked over, excuse me, by Ian. There's no reason why she would litigate problems in a way where she and I don't talk to each other and deal with it. There's like exactly one point in the past, I can't even remember what the fuck it was about, but that happened maybe one time, and then we solved it through conversation, and we haven't had any problems since in our friendship. Why would I do something like try to backstab her? There's the obvious answer, and then there's the logistical answer. The obvious answer would be bigger YouTuber, smaller YouTuber. Why would I try to backstab this person to try and get ahead of them? Why wouldn't I build to be above them and then backstab them? Ah! Obvious answer. The logistical answer, because then you lose access to said person. The actual real answer, why would I backstab my friend? Like, I feel that a lot of the dramas that happen amongst people that used to be friends with each other, and then somebody either advanced faster than the other, and then they disparaged them, or they advanced faster than them, but they did everything they could to help bring them up, and then the other person got petty, being the response to why they end up breaking up the friendship. I feel like a lot of people have been cooked out of their head, where instead of realizing that situations are what they are, that they forgot that for most people, we're not supposed to think about relationships between people like we're listening to characters in a murder mystery. This is where the drama of the everyday broadcaster has really come into focus, and I think it's broken a lot of people. I'm not going to beat the allegations. I'm not autistic. I'm just anally retentive. I like information. I like data. I don't trust a single thing that I can't not see in a graph, or I can't find through a data heuristic and then be able to see somebody explain to me with a persuasive argument. Just me. So, when I hear somebody that had a sure thing going on, no reason to attack each other, just decided to dump, I want to know why they upped the poll. And what I'm hearing is they upped the poll because their boyfriend convinced them to, or they both agreed that was the move. Couldn't be me though. Couldn't be me though. I have cut off friends for more and less, and almost all of it revolves around loyalty. Some people know that quite flat out basic. I've cut people off for more and less. Being an adult is hard, and part of adulthood is knowing when you have friends that don't want to take advice anymore and have decided that they will suspend friendships because they decided they want to use you as a easy justification for why they have never decided that it's reasonable to listen to anymore. I've cut off a friend for actively trying to treat somebody that we've interviewed like they were not somebody that we talk to and know personally as a friend. I've cut people off for trying to destroy content, permabanning them even. I've cut people off for publicly trying to control the narrative of an event that they were involved in. I've banned people for trying to fuck up broadcasts. I've cut off friends for not taking my advice, putting me in a bad situation, lying to my face about it, and then acting like they were a victim when everybody bent over backwards to help them. Sometimes in life, you have to lose some friends that have decided that they don't want to grow with you anymore. Like the spurts of a tree. When you're hemming the stems of a tree. Inducing growth by snipping off a piece and then grafting on a replacement to help the tree grow better, grow right. Acid reflux. Or grow back better, faster, and stronger than they did before. There was no reason in this situation for her to do what the fuck she was doing. There was no reason for her to do this. It's torturing me. It's torturing me. It's fucking torturing me. My brain does not want to compute this. Because all it comes back with is a fucking syntax error that says dumbass, 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 dumbass. And it's not about the money. It's the loyalty. I'm somebody who believes loyalty is supposed to mean something. I think it is definitely in Callum's position that this is the truth of the matter. The problem with this stuff is that if you hold some principles, you might get screwed over by people by Cinder, but in a public-facing job, you have no recourse. So there's no benefit to being a country matters. Yeah. Like, you can't do this. You cannot hold the job that we do. You can't do the job that we do and behave like this. Because proper manners and decorum is the price that you pay for access in society, period. You cannot be a broadcaster and be an evil person. If you want to be an evil person, you better be working 10 times as hard as everybody else who's being nice. The power of friendship is real. It can help people like the Unsubscribed podcast to be able to make sure that the Buffalo detective of their friends does not get fucked over. It can help ensure that communities are risen and felled by how evil their content creator is and how good of community acts they do. It can upset the balance between interpersonal friends that have known each other for years. And all of it comes and stems from the factor of how cynical you want to be. In the case of Hasan Piker, for example, we know that the reason why he's successful is because it is people putting energy into him and him extracting the value. Normally, when you are evil like this, the correct response is what has happened to Cinder. You're supposed to be exposed for doing shit like this. And then, if you do that, you're supposed to have a come to Jesus moment. Realize, oh shit, I have indeed betrayed myself and everything that I believe in. And you do better in the future and change your behavior so that you no longer are a hypocrite in that way. Or you fuck over people in that way. At the very minimum, you have to do your job and be an honest person in order to have the privilege that comes with the benefit of popularity and size. But of course, the fact of the matter is that not every situation will work out and be dealt with like characters in a passion play. Sometimes evil people in the world win simply because they have more resources than you. As this is one of the benefits that is given to those with power and influence. But at the very least, we know that they are meant to be miserable, and almost certainly miserable forever. Because no matter how they try to work out and litigate their problems, they will never truly be happy with their success, because they are miserable with what they're doing. I just simply do not understand why they would go through this level, and even seemingly get the artist involved in thinking this way, because that would then lead to bad outcomes and bad philosophies down the line. Anyways, I've paused Andy enough. Let's keep going.
too. Like, at the end of the day, it isn't about how much we make compared to her. We just want her to recognize, hey, Cinder's a big VTuber too. She got there on her own merits just like you did. Get along. And the marketing potential and money they can make if they teamed up. I just know anything we do, she's watching and will take from or try to outdo. OMG, you know the spinning figure we have on stream? Blank figure was announced on Wednesday. No spinning figure. Cinder debut Saturday. Everyone hears about it. Figure announced. Spinning figure on screen with exclamation point figure right next to it. Blank stream yesterday. First stream since Cinder debut. Guess what? Spinning figure with exclamation point figure next to it. Then like a month later, unfollowed her on Twitter and started taking her ideas, Cinder's ideas, like the flames. And now she's basically rebranded to more of a fire Cerberus, using fire emojis all the time. Shaking my head. Never did that before. It's funny because she used to call herself a hellhound, but stopped when Cinder grew past her and now uses Cerberus or Cerber Pup or whatever her lore says she is. I don't know. And then replies, the unfollow was weird. And Redacted says yeah. So it's like there was also unprovoked tweets from her like I didn't copy anyone else from my design. My design's all me. This is who I am. Like huh? Who are you saying that to? Oh, well on random Cinder clips on YouTube, there was one dedicated Blank fan or someone she knew I don't know that would comment on these clips saying like when are you going to put Blank only on Cinder clips. The document continues and finishes by saying I'd like to highlight the irony of expecting to be entitled to recognition for her own efforts and size when her own active efforts are tied to sabotaging this very same VTuber. Also feeling entitled and insisting to be recognized by someone else is odd. Thanks for taking the time to read through everything. I hope everything makes sense and everyone who has been hurt, manipulated, or sabotaged by her will find closure. Shy Lily replies, we will always be there to support you no matter what. No one deserves to go through this. Your feelings are valid and we'll make sure to heal from this. I'll always have your back. Saru, sorry, I might be butchering that, says I can't stand when people pressure others to avoid certain individuals, customers or not, just to serve their own interests, especially when there's no personal conflict. It's manipulative and completely unfair. Sorry it happened to you, Nano. Cottontail says it took a lot of courage to speak up about this, Nano. I hope you're doing okay. Thank you for doing the right thing. Sending you so much love. Tricky B says it's so disheartening to read all of this. This is so cruel. Artists deserve the utmost respect. Business should never be at the expense of a friend. Buff Pup replies, I'm honestly just baffled by all this. I'm so sorry this was even an energy you had to perceive in your lifetime. Realizing the mistreatment you received is such a huge step of courage, and I'm so proud of you. You're literally the best mother and friend I could ask for. Yuzu says it takes a lot of courage to realize and come out against mistreatment, especially since you clearly care for all your clients. I'm sorry this is something you had to harbor alone for so long. Matara Khan says lots of love, Nano. Good on you for being brave enough to share your story. It's never easy. Aethel replies, I'm so sorry you had to be put in this position. No one deserves to be treated like that, especially in a business setting where people's livelihoods are at stake. Standing up to these completely inappropriate control tactics takes immense courage. So thank you for sharing. Wishing you all the best going forward. Kofifi Chin says, love you, Nano. Sorry you had to deal with this. Ellie replies, wow. Just wow. I'm so sorry to hear this, Nano. That's really awful to go through, and I'm sorry you had to experience that kind of stress and mistreatment. I hope going forward you can feel free again to do whatever the heck you want. Shoto replies, we love you, dude. Captain Hannah says, I'm honestly speechless by this entire thing. You've always shown nothing but kindness and grace, wonderfully expressed through your art and your work. I'm so sorry this happened, Nano, especially since you care for your clients so much. Then another document is released, this time by Bao, who was mentioned in the first document, and captions it, I was very hurt by someone I thought was a friend. Quote tweeting Nanolis. Hello, this is Bao. I will only speak to what Nanolis has decided to share with the public and the messages that directly mention me by name. I would like to kindly ask everyone to refrain from turning this into a witch hunt, and remember that we are still just humans at the end of the day. Before I start, I want to point out why I'm addressing both Cinder and Redacted, Red, despite the messages being largely from Redacted. Many times throughout the messages, the words we, we're, our occur numerous times. As someone who's close to and worked with Cinder for years, I have firsthand experience on how Cinder and Red collaborate, and the extent to which Red operates as her primary point of contact in her professional and personal projects. It is that experience that leads me to believe that all requests and messages sent by Red were both known about and approved of by Cinder. On March 24th, I announced that one of my subathon goals was a live 2D model. She then attaches a link to this tweet, the Bao Yandere subathon, showing that 10,000 subs right here on the screen would be commissioned live 2D model. Back to the document, Nanolis was going to be the live 2D illustrator. After she finished both the design and base model sketch, there was suddenly a back and forth on whether or not she had the physical and the mental capacity to continue my model. I was very sad as I had not only teased a screenshot of the model sketch on Twitter, but had grown very attached to the design and showed it to all my friends. In a private group chat that Cinder was a part of, I shared how devastated I was, and she did not comment or say anything despite others in the group chat comforting and reassuring me. I now realize that the reason of her silence was because Cinder and Redacted were deliberately sabotaging ongoing commissions and blocking of YouTubers such as myself from having access to art from Nanolis. Then attached are the messages we read earlier from Redacted where he says you don't work with Bao, etc., and then continued messages which we also read in the first document, along with this message which we also read. The document continues. Nanolis asks Redacted on why he is encouraging her to not finish my model. Redacted then lists my name among various VTubers as well as the vendettas Cinder and Redacted harbor against each. Bao has been getting on our nerves for a while. She hijacked our YouTube editor, constantly picking up artists that we work with. Now she's barking up the tree of one of our L2D animators as a way of guilt tripping others to get her way. This is what Redacted lists as the reasons why Nanolis should cancel her ongoing live 2D commission with me, all while continuing to collaborate with me and pretending to be my friend. This is not what friends do. Friends do not sabotage other friends out of business opportunities. Friends do not spread lies to fuel selfish narratives. Friends do not use private information they get from the privilege of being close friends just to use it to manipulate others. If stepping on one of your friends and abusing your power and connections is how you get to the top, then I hope you realize no one will be left when you get there. Then they attach the Nano Arc delayed message which we read with a caption more screenshots of
That's pretty best position that I have. That's my opinion. You can't backstab your friends and then still think that you're their friends. And then try to reveal it after it comes out and say, well, it's just because I was so jealous of your success. If anything, you should be happy for your friend's success because it's not a question of whether or not they deserve it or whether or not it should be yours, but a question of simply how hard they may have worked for it. If anything, you were people that came up together with each other, and if they feel that they're also your friend, simply one hand will wash the other.
The emerging analyst became part of ongoing live 2D commission with me, even mentioning how excited I was about it when I showed them the design during Cinder and I's concert at WeCon in 2024. Quoting, I wouldn't offer it for free, maybe half price if she starts shit. Lol, I don't know what I've ever done to either Redacted or Cinder to deserve this level of vitriol towards me. I don't remember having any issues or any problem that couldn't have been solved by talking. Regarding the messages where Cinder and Redacted openly accused me of stealing their YouTube editor, Boss Rush music video animator, as well as any artist they have worked with, and then she attaches this email which gets a little bit hard to read, but it starts with Bao saying, Hi Kaiser, nice to meet you. I was just watching your stream highlight from me and Cinder's collab and I really loved your editing style and humor. I was curious if I could request a video edit from you every now and then if you have any availability. My username is Bao on Discord if you want to chit chat more there. Thanks again. And Kaiser replies, Hi Bao, I'd love to video edit for you. I just sent a friend request on Discord. And the document continues, she hijacked her YouTube editor. Their YouTube editor, Kaiser, is a mutual YouTube channel editor for myself and Cinder. My channel manager, John, and I asked Kaiser for one stream highlight per month, as we are aware of his extensive position as Cinder's channel manager. I made a point to note this in my inquiry email to him in 2023. Then she attaches a screenshot of a call that lasted 5 hours from March 2025. On March 20th, I started a group Discord call that lasted 5 hours to hang out with my editors. In this group call, Kaiser shared with us that he was afraid to ask Cinder for a raise because he initially turned down an exclusivity deal. As a friend to both Cinder and Kaiser, I encouraged him to take the deal and reassured him that it would not change our friendship, as I would never want someone I care about to miss an opportunity, even if it meant I would lose him as an editor. The other editors who were in the call can corroborate this. I'm sharing this context because there are no words to describe the hurt and betrayal I feel now, knowing that on the other side of this conversation, Cinder and Redacted were actively portraying me as a thief and a detriment to their business. I've only ever supported them in their activities and never once thought that I had somehow gotten on their nerves. Then she says, Bao had original songs last year that had MVs by her editor, and the songs flopped, quoting redacted, along with attaching the message we already read. In that response, I'm in shock and disbelief that this is the narrative they decided I deserve. Saying that I harbored an invisible jealousy because my songs flopped made me feel sick to my stomach. In late 2024, I was dealing with debilitating TMJ pain that resulted in me having to drain fluid from my jaw joint to open my mouth properly. They both knew this. I've always wanted my friends to succeed alongside me, and I don't know how they could say these things while simultaneously.
I don't know what TMJ is.
Weaponizing my most vulnerable moments against me. Then she quotes part of the document where it says we're 99% sure she told him, Sackmore, not to do any more with us, of Boss Rush music videos, and attaches the CM that we already read, along with this one here. And it continues. In these messages, Cinder and Redacted are referring to my animator, Sackmore, whom I have been working with since 2023. And then she attaches the DMs between her and Sackmore that start on November 2023. And says proof of how long we worked together. And then she continues. In 2024, Sack asked me if we could go completely exclusive for me and work for me in-house with no credit in order for him to be able to quietly work on his personal projects and brand without having VTubers ask him for more commission work. I was happy to accept. I want to reiterate that this was Sack's decision and no one else's. Here is proof of Sack mentioning his wishes to be my in-house animator directly to my channel manager, John Epis, back in December 2024, refuting Redacted's claims that I locked him up due to Boss Rush's success. And it's Sack saying, yo, is it fine if going forward I don't be credited in video descriptions? And Epis says, okay. And Sack says, thank you. I'd rather just be more an in-house type of thing for Bao after this blank thing is done. It's the last commission I ever do for anyone besides Bao, and want to make a name for myself through my own content and not really my work for others next year. The document continues. Why aren't you solving this privately? If you look at the timeline of events from Nano's documents, some of these messages date back years. I found out about this less than 48 hours ago, and they did not give me common courtesy of talking to me privately about this over the years. My thoughts, feelings, my most vulnerable and darkest moments that I shared in confidence with people I thought would be by my side years and years from now may have been used as information to ruin my chances to have the same VTuber model as someone I thought was my friend, and I don't know how I can ever be the same after this. I would like to ask the community to refrain from spreading any harmful speculation. Everything shared in this document was done so with the express permission of those who shared it with me. I made this document with the intent to refute the claims made about me in the screenshots. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Van Peaches quote tweets Bao and says, as someone who has questioned their worth in this space the last 2 years because of the same person, this line hit very hard. Attaching an image highlighted from Bao's document where it says, if stepping on your friends and abusing your power connections is how you get to the top, then I hope you realize no one will be left when you get there. And she continues, it's difficult to know what to do when someone you thought was your friend, who you are VIP in their Twitch chats, who you offer to help and comfort to, one day just acts like you don't exist anymore. You tell yourself you must have done something seriously wrong for a friend to treat you like that. Reading the documents that are coming out today are heartbreaking. My heart really goes out to Nano, Bao, and anyone else who has been affected. Although my experience is not as egregious, I still want to have my voice heard since it has affected me a lot in the last 2 years. I knew Cinder 5 years ago.
That's pretty much the point that most people have, especially when you're talking about individuals who have been cut out and just simply Thanos from the group picture when it comes to group collaborative projects that have existed in the time period of them coming up through the material of their work. Because we all live on the internet, the idea that a person would delete fucking everything, DFE, as a term, is something that comes with a heavy heart. Because you think the reason why they must be deleting this, not talking about this, not referring to this, not talking about this drama, is because they're trying to get away from it being recognized. Most of the time, it may be a clean break on both sides, and that neither side is choosing to speak about it simply out of a form of respect. And usually there is an antagonist that is pushing for the connection, for that to be discussed and had. Usually, most people assume it's because they want to hide what's being said and done. I've seen plenty of groups come and go over the years, from the Fediverse, from Internet Bloodsports, from broadcasting in general, left-wing, right-wing, dead of center, apolitical, and anarcho-primitivist. Every single connecting point between all of them is the idea that the people that they created something with hated them so much, or recognized their talent, and saw the opportunity to make use of getting rid of them so much that they would go to the point of treating them like a stranger when it comes up to them discussing the medium. For some of the dramas that I've been dealing with on the side, not in my server, but in somebody else's community entirely, people have decided to litigate a problem like this in that way because they are desperate for something to give them a chance to stir the pot and say that they're involved in an internal culture for whatever reason they describe that to be. At this current time, I cannot give you details about this current situation, but I can tell you more once it has come to a resolute end. It just has not now done so. Now's not the time. I have to mention this, however, because, for example, something that I can talk about, the public and open dropping of Scrump from Dev, Uzulu from Dev, and the interconnected community that was created amongst Arch Warhammer, V, Dev, and Sargon of Akkad, and other such breakoffs from the skeptic sphere and the skeptic communities, or the general skeptics amongst the YouTuber skeptics of 2017, from the time of Baked Alaska, Jeff Holiday, and the rest of them. Just some guy and the rest of them. And where they've ended up now on the internet winds, blown around by change and algorithmic demotation, to the point where only the most tenacious and fucked up of the left-wing figures like Vosh remain, granted in a weaker capacity because he's been blown out. But many of the people that, for example, in the yesteryears would have been there amongst the left wing on Whiteleaf that now transformed into White Forest have broken off, gone their own way, or outright quit because there's not enough money to keep the fucking engine going. They need to go work a real day job, just like Xanderhol's about to, if Alexander hasn't completely quit yet, and I don't think that's the case. It's just that he's spiraling the drain and he's trying to hold on, but somebody has to pinch the turd off. There's always going to be the question of what was their best material, and when were they best happy, and what was responsible for, quote, breaking the band up. Sometimes no one's at fault, and actually it was an act of God, or an act of incompetence from a human, that ends up taking somebody from you personally. That's what happened to me and my friend. Sometimes you're the one that makes the mistake, and you pay for those sins for the rest of your life. Sometimes it's people outright attempting to create sabotage, whether it's a group or it's you personally. But shit like this, I don't think you could ever recover from this. Not completely. You'll always have a fear in the back of your head, like a dad trying to figure out if his kid's really his kid. Nobody wants to be like Neo, in the middle of figuring out whether or not the pregnancy is his, because he's been burnt before. And once you've got that paternity fraud content creator mindset, you end up closing yourself off permanently so that you can never risk that happening to you, but then you end up becoming a fragment of yourself. I think that's the biggest sin that I've learned from this story. Congratulations, Horn, you made me sad! Is that what you wanted? Did you want to make me sad? Anyways. We're coming up on 5 o'clock, but we're going to finish this. I started it, we can finish it. At least this one. I'll look at the sender response at some other time.
When she was patching MP3 and stood by her like a true friend, even when she was being dragged by the ASMR community for misuse of other people's scripts. I supported her VTubing journey. I did everything I could to be a good friend to her. Then, after meeting her at Paris TwitchCon, things seemed to change. I felt discarded. I felt like I must have done something wrong for her to ghost me all of a sudden. It's been painful to see someone who you thought was your friend constantly on your timeline. To be asked by your community, who knew you were good friends, if you're ever going to collab. I kept asking myself what I'd done so wrong for her to just drop me like I meant nothing, but I guess now I know. It wasn't me. I was just one of the first to be stepped on, and in hindsight, maybe it was a blessing that I was left behind. I don't write this for sympathy, nor do I want it. I just want my community to know where I stand on this matter since it is assumed that we are friends. Once again, my heart goes out to those who have been hurt. Then, Spite, Cerberus VTuber, quote tweets Nano with their own document in the caption, my experience with Cinder. And the document starts by saying, I want to start by saying please do not send any hate to anyone involved in this. I only wish to speak about my experiences and give more clarity on these experiences. First and foremost, my love and admiration goes out to Nanolis for having the courage to bring this to light. Artists are the backbone of our community, and taking advantage of her goodwill personality is saddening to see. I want to take the time to address what has been brought to light involving myself and what I've experienced over the years that coincide with these events. In this screenshot, the VTuber that is being talked about is very clearly me. Since the beginning of my VTuber journey, it has been written in my backstory and lore that I'm the daughter of Cerberus, and through an unforeseen summoning mishap, the Greek goddess of Hecate. As many may know, Cerberus is a species of hellhound, and I've always incorporated the number 3 in my designs to follow the 3 heads of Cerberus. In my early design, and when artists were still learning new model/rigging techniques, I opted for 2 other wolf heads on my shoulders as pauldrons to symbolically represent my other 2 heads. However, the repeated comment of, if you're a Cerberus, where are your other 2 heads, had pushed me to use the broader term hellhound at the time. Fast forward to months to a year into my journey, and I started to receive harassment and berating comments and chat messages on Twitch and YouTube videos, comparing me to Cinder and putting me down for being a hellhound. Making the definitive switch to the Cerberus label brought me a sense of relief because the last thing I wanted was to be constantly compared or harassed at this point. I didn't want to be associated with her due to all the negativity that was being thrown my way. And then she links the unfollow messages that we read earlier and talking about how there was comments on the Cinder clips asking to do clips for her. And Spite responds by saying, as for the claims of unfollowing her and taking her ideas, I debuted my 2.0 live 2D model May 14th, 2022, and on that same day, she decided to post her debut announcement for her 1.0 live 2D model. Leading up to this time, I didn't know who Cinder was at all. I had no idea she had fire in her ears or she was another hellhound. The creator space is broad, and I still stumble across creators larger than myself that I had not heard of before. I never once stole her ideas, and all I ever want is to try to be unique in my own way. So these claims that I was following her and then unfollowing and stealing her ideas are absolutely baseless and uncalled for. And then she said,
the way that they treat and talk about this, I would compare it to VTubers being compared to furries. She stole my concept. She stole my idea. He stole my concept. He stole my idea. I'm black with red stripes. You're red with black stripes. I'm black with blue stripes. You're blue with a black stripe with a bow tie. Well, my design has a tail. Your design has a bifurcated tail. My design has 2 tongues. Yours has a split tongue. In any other situation, you'd call it stupid and gay. Probably even more here because it's like, come up with a different concept. But the back and forth that can come up because a person decides to pick out very specific, unique differences between you and somebody else to the point that the minutia itself is not properly comparative, is probably gonna be the most stress-inducing shit, to be honest. It's like for YouTubers. You stole my thumbnail idea. I make thumbnails just like yours, just like everybody else's does. But yours is specifically close to mine. Look, you did the exact same I did here, and this I did here, and this I did here. I just used the rule of thirds to make my shit. No, you did it on purpose. Now I'm gonna destroy you. This was exactly the logic they tried to use to shit on David Jabot. The energy that it takes to do that, you have to be right. Otherwise, I'm going to be the one who's going to say, I don't care. Because if you both have the same video, it's literally the same points beat for beat, the same script. That's the point where I'll say, okay, something's fishy's going on here. If the way that I talk about the topic is different compared to somebody else talks about the topic, clearly it's the personality and the person that is what encourages you to watch the material. If they have extra details that you don't have, you try to do a summary while the other one did a deep dive, you can't get caught up on those details and get caught in the reeds niggling on concepts. You need to actually be truthful. The fact that it's not truth of actual theft, but was malicious backlash, and this person discovered that that was them being discussed, and they can now connect. I can't snap anymore. I put Vaseline on my hands for my beard. I can't imagine the confirmation of anxiety that gave them. And the fact that you have to address the fact that somebody being a big hater to you means you have to now talk about how they made you feel insecure.
That is her post on May 3rd, and then Cinder's post on May 14th. Her posting her debut announcement trailer the same day as my 2.0 debut seemed off, but I shrugged it off as a coincidence because things happen. However, this wasn't the last time something like this had happened. There have been multiple times where I had done something, and either the same day or shortly after I was made aware or had discovered later that something similar had been posted, making me feel like I was being watched constantly. I tried my best to believe that it was coincidental and not ill intent on their parts. There were many times when I designed a new outfit that I was really excited for, but afterwards Cinder would release outfits or models with similarities to it. I didn't think much of it at first because it is normal to have some similarities or shared inspirations with other creators. The VTuber community is a huge space and similarities are normal. I'm not speaking to whether my designs were taken as direct references for hers. I'm addressing the need for the unprovoked tweets mentioned in the screenshot above and showing that I made the statements to make it clear that I was not stealing ideas. How can I copy something that was released /teased/revealed after my own? On July 20th, 2022, Mao Live, my model mama, and I worked on a comfy goth girl outfits. I had rips in my t-shirts, a G-string, shorts, and spiked wrist cuffs. 2 weeks after, Cinder debuted a similar outfit. I included the earliest image I could find of Cinder with his outfits. I received many negative comments about my design from people assuming that I copied her when I debuted it 2 weeks before hers. I got called off-brand Cinder and just a bunch of horrible things. And she attaches DMs of her saying, sounds great, I'm so happy with it. On July 20th, 2022, and then this image, and then on September 14th, 2022, what do you think of my new outfit? Showing this image in here as I scroll down to get a little bit more detail. The document continues. I discovered this merchandise that she used for Uwu Market and had to do a double take because of the gray-blue skin tone used in the art. Several people thought it was me, and the similarities speak for themselves, I feel. Then she attaches this picture. On April 29th, 2024, I designed a Greek goddess outfit on stream. I'm a Cerberus VTuber, so it fits my lore completely. I mentioned that I may or may not get a future Greek goddess outfit because it fits my branding. About 4 months ago, Cinder debuted a Heaven Okami-inspired outfit that was white and gold, resembling a Greek goddess. In the background for debut, she also included Greek columns. At this point, I felt like nothing I could come up with would be even slightly original to me. I'm aware that nothing is completely original, but I still wanted my own identity. She then attaches this image, and then these images here showing more pictures of her model, and then lastly Cinder's model here with the description of the background like she said. The document continues. On April 20th, 2024, I debuted a new model from my model mama, REVT. I got a hoodie with a cute design on top, and I had side bangs covering my eyes. On April 4th, 2025, Cinder debuted a sports hoodie with side bangs covering her eyes, similar to mine. Then we have this screenshot of debut subathon from April 29th, 2024, and then this screenshot comparing both of the models. The left one is Spiked, and the right one is Cinder. The document continues. There are some instances that I do not have screenshots of. For example, I remember posting about my first ASMR stream. The day that I was supposed to do said stream, Cinder plugged her ASMR channel. I thought it was a bit suspect, but I brushed it off. I don't have screenshots of the comments and bullying that I received from our community. There were too many that it became too much to keep track of, and I started ignoring them because I never wanted to save images of their words that hurt me. I didn't even want to read the harassing comments in the first place. I just wanted to be left alone and be happy in my.
That is probably bad practice. You should have saved it just simply so that you could be able to refer to it so people don't think that you're lying out of turn. I wouldn't have reason to believe that you're lying, but this is the reason why I take notes. I put them someplace and I file them away until I have to think about it or until it becomes up and it's relevant to discuss. But then again, who wants to look at hateful messages of themselves constantly 24/7 and be made insecure about themselves like this?
In my own space. I received a DM on January 5th, 2023. I'll not disclose who the Cinder was without their consent. The Cinder expressed to me that they were getting bullied by Cinder and certain members of Cinder's community because she too had fire in her ears. I never responded to the DM because I wanted to stay away from drama as much as possible. And the DM is them saying, hey, you popped my feed and can I just say I love your design? I had a rather odd question, I suppose. Have you had any messages from the VTuber Cinder regarding your design? This may seem out of nowhere, but I'm only asking because I had an OC like a while back and I was accused by her and others of stealing her design because my god girl had flames in her ears and her and her fans claimed that was exclusive to her design. It was this whole big ordeal on Twitter, so I was wondering if something similar happened to you yet. I would like to clarify, I myself am not saying your design looks like hers. I was just scrolling, saw your totally awesome design. Then when I saw the flames in the ears, I had flashbacks and thought to myself, oh no. So I guess this is just my curiosity getting the best of me. The document continues. I'm just very saddened and disappointed in the situation. I had my suspicions about this this, but I've never wanted to be part of drama, so I kept quiet. I've also seen what happens when a creator stands up for themselves and receives major backlash, even if they're in the right, so I've never vocalized my concerns. I've always designed my own models. I've gotten inspiration from Cerberus with the chains and spikes, Disney Hades, and because I call myself Goth GF, I was inspired by Sam and Ember from Danny Phantom, plus many other of our goth crushes that we've had growing up. I just focused on myself and my friends. Meanwhile, I had eyes on me the whole time. Knowing that I was being watched and talked poorly about really hurts, especially when they never attempted to interact with me. I did my best to go through and find what I could and get appropriate screenshots. It's crazy because I didn't know who Cinder was until she debuted her live 2D. I just wanted to exist peacefully as a VTuber and spend my time drama-free. I woke up this morning in shock. It's terrifying and hurtful to know that someone could attempt to blacklist me when I've never spoken to them. I hope going forward that no one has to experience anything like this. Thank you guys for being supportive towards me. I love this community so much. Please go and give love and support to all those who have unfortunately been involved in this situation. Please support Nanolis, who was brave enough to speak up, and the VTubers who were affected. Please support my first Model Mama, the wonderful Mao Live, and also my recent Model Mama, the wholesome REVT. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Yochi replies, damn, sorry you had to deal with that, Spite. Your design is beautiful. Please keep it up and don't let anything or anyone stop you from creating cute outfits and designs for yourself. Then Silvervale also dropped a document with the title My Statement on Cinder and Redacted, quoting Nanolis. And it starts off with introduction saying, I shouldn't have to say this, but me putting out this statement is not a call for or an excuse for anyone to turn the situation into a witch hunt. My intention for making a statement is strictly to give
While I know why they're doing it, it is probably the most cuck shit in existence that every single content creator has to remind people, hey guys, no hate watching, no hate doxing, no hate watching, no hate doxing, no hate watching, no hate doxing. But it's a necessary sacrifice, I suppose. It's a necessary sacrifice. 5 extra seconds of reading at the beginning of a paragraph versus countless people believing that because they're being told about something, they need to jump in and directly involve themselves and act like internet heroes.
Give myself closure from the events of the past years and clarify how I've been personally affected. I debated if I wanted to even say anything after being asked if I wanted my name in the original document censored, as the situation is much bigger than just my personal experience. However, after finding out how wide and extensive the transgressions were, I feel the need to give clarity to my situation and how I was personally affected. I want to note, as others have, that though a majority of the messages are from Redacted, Cinder's manager, I find it impossible that he acted solely on his own intentions without Cinder's knowledge or consent, given the extent to which he has represented her publicly and professionally. Then we have the Nano and VTuber 1 messages, which were the ones we read earlier, except now we can see that this part right here is no longer censored, where it says, well, I think the main things we're looking for are for you not to take any brand new model clients and to not make any new models / outfits with Silvervale, again, removing this blanked out section. We have more messages where these parts are still blanked out, but we do have you don't work with Bow, Blank, or Silver at all, again. And finally, this message we looked at earlier where it says, Nano, you're a freelance artist and a Silver is a long-time client, so it makes sense to continue doing work for her. I understand the logistics of it. As well as this message, after all, Silver is still a client and made me anxious and kind of destroyed my mental to do this kind of deal. The ones where Nano and Cinder are messaging directly. And finally, this one where she says, I understand if things don't work out about this. It would be most of you hate me for not burning Silver down from my list. And Cinder says, I would never hate you. The document continues. I am VTuber1 in the screenshots provided by Nano in her documents. I've been a friend and client of Nano for years, and seeing how she was manipulated and abused by Cinder and Red makes me livid. She's an absolute sweetheart and just wants her clients to be happy. It breaks my heart to see how she was treated like a tool and a resource to be used for growth rather than a talented living person and gaslit into somehow believing that how she was being treated was okay. I'm so
Carl opinion number 4, repeated again. Imagine how she feels when she finds out, he, I don't know what the fuck they are. Let's go with she. When she finds out that they're talking about her in the DMs. Like a dog.
proud of Nano for having the courage to come forward to the affected people with all this and to let everyone know how they were being unknowingly sabotaged. I've spoken to her privately and wanted to be clear that I have no ill will or hard feelings towards Nano for her involvement in this. I urge people reading this to try and understand the emotional manipulation on display and empathize with her situation. There's a lot I could say about how disgusting I find their behavior towards other creators in general, but I want to focus on my own personal experiences. Cinder and I. Discovering that all this was going on behind the scenes has been gut-wrenching. I didn't know Cinder, we weren't friends, and we have barely talked. Even writing this, I did not understand what I could have possibly done to warrant this level of malice and cruelty shown. In our private interactions, I was as cordial as possible, but I just wasn't interested in associating with her professionally or being her friend. From the very few uncomfortable interactions I did have with her, I had gotten the vibe that her primary goal was to climb the social and content ladder and grow her brand. I'm fully aware of how common that attitude is, and that's just how you grow in this sphere, but I personally don't have the emotional fortitude or bandwidth to have friendships for the express purpose of growth. For the record, I think it's fine to have a view and approach to content creation, but I also reserve the rights to simply not vibe with someone. I would much rather not associate with someone at all than pretend to be their friend for the purposes of growing my brand. The only time I'd actually talked to her directly was during my meet and greet at TwitchCon in 2023. I had just finished my meet and greet, and as I was wrapping up, she walked directly to the screen to meet me and had someone else take a picture of us together. I was not informed of this picture or asked permission for it, and only knew about it once I saw it on Twitter later on. And then she attaches this tweet by Cinder with the caption, "Stopped by to say hi after my meet, Wolf Girls," and it shows that this has Cinder on the right here IRL, and this here is Silver as the VTuber model. Then we have DMs that start with a removed name saying, "Also, Cinder really loved meeting you and wanted to collab, so I told her I'd let you know, and I could throw you guys in a group chat if you're interested." And Silver replies, "Hello, I appreciate the sentiment, but I prefer not to do collabs." In the removed name, it says, "No worries, I hope you're having a good weekend." And Silvervale says, "Oh, thanks. I'm trying to, just busy and lots of IRL stuff coming up. Sorry for not being interested in collabs. I just like to do my own thing, but I'm always open to messages, lol. I hope you had fun at the con and everything went okay." The document continues. After the meet and greet, she contacted my manager at Mythic to ask me to collab with her. I told them I would rather not collab, but accepted her friend request on Discord after turning her down. In private DMs, she reached out and asked me to do merch or another various form of collab to be monetized, so which again I declined. I will always prioritize my mental health and peace over any potential profit that would make me feel used transactionally and put me out of my comfort zone. And then attach our DMs, which start off with Silvervale saying hi, and Cinder saying, "Hi Silver, sorry for getting back at you late. I've been super sick from TwitchCon. I guess a lot of us got sick after the last couple parties. I hope you had a good time at the meet and greets. It was so nice to see you there. But yeah, no worries if you don't prefer to stream together. My manager suggested something more so like sponsorships, merch, music, or some kind of other project together that maybe Mythic could help with if needed. I'd love to chat more either way." And Silvervale replies, "No worries. It's been super hectic and busy for everyone, lol. I hope you're feeling better. I'm really flat."
And that's what it looks like when a person is trying to clap shark off of you. So I guess the final answer on what was Cinder trying to do was do collaborations non-stop until her household name was big enough that she could pivot and become the #1 VTuber? Question mark? I don't mean this disrespectfully when I say this, but that kind of koi fish in a small pond mentality is probably the reason why all of us broadcasters get a bad fucking rep, and why the dirty word influencer even exists in the first place. How does that work out for you if you just go around forcing interactions like this?
flattered by the persistence, but I'm just not interested in transactional relationships with anyone. I hope you can understand. Then we have continued messages that we read from redacted earlier, now with Silver being no longer blank on the messages, along with this one here, again, which we read earlier, and the document continues. I had a new live 2D model in the works for my birthday with Nano, which was eventually canceled. I was devastated, as Nano was the one who originally asked if she could do this model because she was excited to make it with all the new things that she had learned. And my birthday was special. At the time, the reason given was health and stress reasons, which made sense
Good
given
job,
how much was
Juan.
on Nano's plate. And despite my disappointment, expressed my support for her prioritizing her health. I'm now aware that the actual reason for her declining to work with me on my birthday model was external pressure from Redacted and Ascender. Words that cannot describe how heartbroken I was and am. And it's Nano saying, Silver, I have to cancel the model com. I'm sorry, my manager told me I have to cancel the most comms possible for health reasons. I've been working too hard and it's getting into me. I really apologize for this inconvenience. And Silver replies with an emoji saying, I was looking forward to it so much. I love your art so much and I've been so excited for a new model from you. I understand though, you have to prioritize your health and taking care of yourself. I hope your health improves and you feel better. Make sure to get lots of rest and relaxation. Do you know if you would be able to do it next year at all? Don't feel pressured or anything. Just asking. And Nano replies, I'm sorry, it hurts me a lot too. I just wish I could work on everything I could. But I believe I can still go for your model sometime next year. Yeah. And Silvervale says, that's okay. I know you have a ton on your plate and I can't imagine how stressful it must be. Do you think you can still do the gamer sub art? And Nano says, oh yeah, illustrations are okay. Then again, messages we read earlier, Redacted is claiming that they weren't trying to make it sound like they have to not work with Silver. Now is Silver no longer blank? Along with this message Redacted saying, you didn't tell Silver you canceled because of Cinder, did you? And then this one, and hope Silver finds someone else. The document continues. I didn't think much of it at the time, but Cinder messaged me on Discord right before my model was canceled. She celebrated that we shared art, despite the fact that at the same time, she and Redacted were actively working to take the potential for more away. And it's a message from Cinder on 11/15/2023, which for reference, these messages we read earlier were 11/17/2023, 2 days later, where Cinder says, hey Silver, I just got your gamer subs stuff in the mail and it looks amazing. It's so cute that we both have Nano's art on our merch since she's both our model mama. The document continues. Moving forward, Cinder and Redacted have spent years sabotaging me for no understandable reason. I've never done anything to warrant this other than just existing as a Silvervale. They actively sought to get my models and art canceled, and based on the messages I've seen and shared above, seem to have not had any second thoughts about doing so. It's hard to express how crushing a feeling is to be talked about so cruelly and maliciously without my knowing. And to know opportunities and friendships are taken away for what I can only assume is spite and insecurity. There is no end to the amount of anxiety I feel, knowing that if these rumors were expressed to Nano, I'd have to assume they were expressed to others as well. I hope this document and the evidence presented will convince you that I am not the person that Cinder and Redacted tried to convince people that I am. Thank you for taking the time to read this, and I hope that any and all the people who have been affected by this can get the closure and peace they deserve. Nano lists then replies by attaching the DM that Cinder sent to Silver about how they share the mama and says, I literally can't believe this. Shai literally replies to Silver by saying, so much malice and hatred from simply not wanting to be a business transaction. I'm sorry. Spite replies to Silver by saying, holy shit, I'm so sorry you also went through this. Then finally we get to learn who the final Redacted name is in the documents when Cottontail tweets out, oh, and then posted this message, which is the one we looked at earlier, where we see Redacted saying, you don't work with Bao, Cotton, or this blank is Silver at all again, models or art. And Cotton captions it by saying, this made my stomach drop to read. It makes me very sad to have things come out like this. Sending Nano and Bao so much love. Then unrelated to all this, Rain makes a statement on Twitter with the caption, fuck it, my experience with Tashi/Cinder, cheating, and attaches a document. The document starts off by saying, hello, thank you for taking the time to read this document. The events described in it happened about 4 or 5 years ago, before the first Cinder debut. I understand there will doubtless be accusations of me clout chasing by revealing them. However, I wanted to corroborate Analyst's assertion that she is not who she appears to be on the surface, and confirm that no matter how much damage control she does, she is just as responsible as Redacted. The beginning. Cinder and I met while she was still running her Tashi MP3 YouTube channel, which is why all the following screenshots will show her as Tashi rather than Cinder, and that will come up later. At the time, she was only just starting her account, and I already had my own ASMR RP channel with about 8,000 subscribers. And as a bigger channel than her, she couldn't wait to work with someone as talented as me. And Tashi saying, you'll get there. It's still hard for me to believe that someone is so talented like my voice enough to want to work together. And the document continues. We never ended up actually making content together, but that didn't stop us from talking pretty much every day at the time. And she eventually found a new way to make me useful. Oh dear. Pretty much immediately, she was flirting with me. Despite, as you can see here, having a boyfriend and both of us knowing she had a boyfriend, including regularly talking shit about him to me while telling me how great it would be were I to replace him. I understand that I'm
Oh, she's a cheater too. What are you gonna tell me next? She kicks babies?
on this, but hey, at least I can be honest about it. And it starts with Rain saying, besides, you said it hard when your boyfriend is far, far away. I'm not your boyfriend, am I? And Tashi replies, no, but how nice that would be. You're perfect boyfriend material. And then there's more messages of Rain saying, oh ho, so you want to go at it behind his back? How sneaky. And Tashi replies, hi honey, I've been talking to this guy about how badly I want him to F me since he wanted to buy a fleshlight instead of giving me any attention when I'm needy. And Rain replies, fucking oof, dude. Literally, why would you even need a fleshlight when you have a girlfriend? And Tashi says, he sent me a screenshot a couple weeks ago telling me he was getting one and had the nerve to use it in front of me to show how great it was. Wow, yeah, it must be great. And Rain replies, yo, what the fuck? That's like me inviting you to a room so you can watch me F someone else in all the ways I said I wanted to F you.
No comment.
And Tashi replies, isn't that great? And Rain says, I'm very slowly not feeling as bad for him about all of this. Because it did honestly leave a bit of a bad taste in my mouth that this was all happening while you were taken. But then, yeah, that's a bit. Did you tell him that was effed and hurtful to you? And then Tashi replies, he asked me if I was okay with it, and after I explained how I felt, he told me it was too late to do anything about it because it had shipped. And he kept it. And then Rain says, I mean, far be it from me to give you advice. It's your relationship and the only ones who can decide what is and isn't okay, and it is you two. But that just sounds really sketchy to me. Also, why did he ask you if you were okay with it after he bought it? Well, all I'm gonna say is two wrongs don't make a right. And as much as I enjoyed the essing, it's really not right if you still want to be with him. I would either
no comment.
Try to reconcile with him and get what you need out of the relationship and step back from me a little bit, or maybe consider taking a break. And I know that last part sounds effed coming from me, but I swear on my life, I'm not being silly about it. That's really my opinion. And Tashi replies, I've just been really stressed about everything, and talking to you makes me feel so much better. I don't want to lose what we have, but I'm such an awful person. I don't deserve it anyway. And Rain says, I don't believe you're an awful person. I believe that you're stressed and you're emotional and you're looking for something to make it better, which happened to be me when he wasn't helping. Listen, take a break from what you have for just a little bit and see if you can get something out of him first. You can't really have both of us. Plus, it wouldn't be very fulfilling to me to just be the other guy in this scenario and not get the full relationship experience myself. You can do it, sweetie. I believe you can, truly. Tashi replies, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I'd do without you. And Rain replies, I'm not saying to stop talking to me completely. I will be right here to support you, whatever decision you end up making. And Tashi replies, I love you so much. I don't know how to thank you. And the document continues. Despite what was evidently nothing serious for her and just a means of keeping herself occupied, she felt the need to keep stringing me along with proclamations of real love, which again, I was silly to have believed in the first place, but still. And there's a message from Tashi saying, regardless, I'm always going to love you. And it continues. For obvious reasons, I won't share any of the explicit essing, not just because of the NSFW nature of it, but I also just don't think it helps. However, note that all this went on for several months and included more than just text, as both of the dates and the contents of the following screenshot proves. And it's a message from Rain saying, I mean, it looked like something was going on down there either way. And Tashi replies, it's called the fingering, dear. And the document continues. One reason I felt it important to share these details in particular is because I never found out if Red had got told what had happened, especially not in full lucidity. The primary reason I held on to all this for so long was an itching feeling that Red never fully knew. And it always felt like it would be unnecessary drama, so I left it alone. But it now seems as good a time as any. Red, if you're reading this, I'm sorry for all that happened back then, I really am. But given the actions you two have taken together regarding other VTubers, I still think you're perfect for each other regardless.
That's crazy work. You try to create a pseudo side boyfriend relationship with an unconnected person because your boyfriend's not giving you attention while you're planning and plotting on all of your friends, mutuals, and acquaintances in the same sphere you operate in. We find another case example of a good man. A good man! Who does not want to intervene into a relationship. Is getting used as the other man. Despite not encouraging? It appears to be the case that they're not encouraging the sexual activity, and that they're just victimized by it, by what we were going to lovingly call the Aimbot Amy drive-by. They're trying to find nice ways to comment on what they witnessed, and it's very clear they're just like, why won't you fuck me? Why won't you love me? If I was her, I'd be embarrassed. The what drive-by? The Aimbot Amy drive-by. That requires context that I'm not going to explain live on a broadcast. If you remember to ask me, I'll explain when movie night comes. Anyways, moving forward.
If you're reading this, I'm sorry for all that happened back then, I really am. But given the actions you two have taken together regarding other VTubers, I still think you're perfect for each other regardless. The end. After Cinder got done using me for fleeting as gratifications, our conversation slowed down, exacerbated by the Cinder character coming into fruition and finding immediate success. I stopped making content for a decent length of time by then, and thus she no longer felt that she could ladder climb it from me. And the messages of Tashi saying, hey, what was your exam for? I haven't been on this Discord account super often, so I missed a bit. And Rain replies, she made a new group chat without me. I kid. But yeah, they were the entrance exams for the uni college. And Tashi replies, nice, congrats on passing them. I've just been on the VTuber side of things working with commissions and whatnot. And Rain replies, what? And Cinder doesn't want to be my friend, only Tashi does. And Tashi replies, it's just easier not having multiple ongoing conversations. And the document continues, until eventually she stopped using that account altogether and committed fully to Cinder. And I never heard from her again. Something I was uncannily aware of would happen back then. And the messages of Rain saying, I'll message you at this time in 2022, and you won't even remember who I am. And Tashi replies, I'd never forget you. And that's pretty much it. This isn't meant to be a witch hunt. We all make mistakes, including me, as I've shown in the same document, but it felt like a good time to get off my chest things that have been on it for half a decade now, and to finally get some closure. Even though I know how bad I look alongside her, she's an opportunist wherever she can find a way to be, and she does not care what happens to the people she springboards off from. I can only hope she takes this all as an opportunity to change and grow as a person. And I'm just gonna throw this one in the end here because it's funny for me to see in retrospect. Okay, thanks for reading. And it's Tashi saying, don't forget about me when you become a big popular YouTuber. Then Cinder initially.
So effectively, that right there is what happened to me, sans the sex shit from Smug Roko. And the fact that there are people that are not happy that I choose not to use that drama to try and build myself up and instead try to do other shit leads to every now and again a person randomly showing up on a thread and trying to like pseudo gaslight and or threaten me with my past like I'm ashamed of it. It's weird, bro. It's weird. Almost done.
He responds to all this by tweeting out, effective immediately, Redacted will no longer be managing or overseeing my VTuber activities. He no longer represents me as a creator, my brand, or my intentions. I'm sorry, everyone. I will make a larger response when I'm able. But then Van Peaches replies saying, I remember playing Phasmophobia with you and hearing Red chat away next to you before you first debuted like 4 years ago. You told me he was your boyfriend. Then before we met for TwitchCon, you switched up and said, just so you know, my manager is coming with me on this trip, as if I didn't know who it was. It's even ickier to read this tweet knowing he is your significant other, and that you're probably going to try and avoid taking responsibility for hurting people who trusted you as friends by nuking the Red side of this duo. In some
Yes. Instead of taking accountability, you're going to decide to unironically pull a fucking Amaranth and say, no, I've gotten rid of my actor, model, producer, / managing boyfriend / husband. Look, no, do not look at the Asian man behind the screen who's shooting at these assailants attempting to rob me for cryptocurrency with his gun, where I lured them in to get shot by said gun. Do not look over here. Do not look at this man. He is not managing anymore. Never you mind the fact he's between my legs. Don't look! Let's not pause, Andy. Let's see the conclusion.
Burn replies, so did you really just pull the I fire my manager but keep him as my boyfriend part? Lumi says, Shondo, VTubers already have a boyfriend or girlfriend that is currently their manager. Internet, no they don't, shut the fuck up, bitch. Cinder, I fired Red, he doesn't align with me. Someone revealed Red is Cinder's boyfriend. She who speaks truth, yet they called her the devil. So it is written. Van Peaches also continues to talk about this statement on her own page where she says, I'm not one to insert myself into any kind of drama. I did what I did today because it felt negligent to sit back and let the narrative of, oh, he's just my manager, I don't know what he says or does, begin to form, and potentially absolve someone who needs to take accountability. Not just for the friends and artists that she's hurt so deeply, but to the community who would have believed her. You are real people who invest a lot of yourselves into supporting creators, and you deserve to be treated as such, not as pawns in some business operation damage control. I hope they do the right thing and apologize to those they have so obviously wronged instead of dragging it out with excuses. And Jack replies, dropping personal information out there for everyone to see is admittedly dirty business, but as you say, sometimes it's necessary as to not let the person create a false narrative.
I can understand the sentiment of this comment right here from Ken Kuroi. Dropping personal information out there is for everyone to see is dirty business, but sometimes it's necessary to not let people create a false narrative. There are two situations where this is necessary. The first, a person who would have spoken cannot speak anymore for themselves, so you have to speak on their behalf. And unfortunately, the material in question is something that was said before the person's ability to speak was removed from them. So, Hacks. Hacks' money's dead. He can't speak for himself, so he requires technicals to speak for him. I can only be able to speak for myself in my relationship with my friend. So, on that behalf, I can only speak to what he and I talked about for the years in which I was a member of the Campus Nerds at my college. And the rest of us in the group, as his personal friends, dealt with since the eve and the anniversaries of his death. Since. Situation number 2. The person in question is so apt and aware to the ins and outs of optics that the only way to truly trap them and stop them from being able to talk is so that the truth is known based on what is there, which is the tactic most people tend to go with. The best way to stop a liar from lying is simply just remove the avenues for them to lie. You think of it as a spider's web. The liar wants to weave a web of lies, either by outright creating falsehoods, or by telling the truth and using the truth to create a structure of lies. If the person has some sense of honor, they will use option 2 rather than option 1. But they will create a web, and that narrative web can hinge on key details and who was informed about those details at a certain place and time. If you control that web of information, you can get away with murder. Literally. How do you expose them? You basically rip the web down. You take a giant stick. The stick is the scintillating life of truth. You put the stick, you remove the bases of the web, you fuddle all of the cobweb up so it can't be used to build another web off of the existing structure. You find the spider and you crush it with the stick, or shoe, or newspaper, or fly swatter if it's small enough. Usually, going scorched earth in this way is not necessary, unless it is so egregious to the level in which it's been done that you feel the need that you must do it. Usually, most people are not wanting to go that far. They will usually just want to remove themselves from the limelight. But if they feel the need to have to go scorch earth in this way, it's because the particular thing that is being said or done is so egregious that the person in question has to be held responsible with what is the most embarrassing thing you can do. Usually this is where people then bring this into the narcissism discord and they say narcissists behave like this and do this, and this, when really it's character traits with people who are attempting to deceive others with subterfuge. But I digress. Therapy language or not, this is where the argument then becomes, it's about the ego, and it's about the fact that they get to be seen as something. So you simply take away the pedestal, and you hang them by the rope that they would use to construct the web that they would use for the lies. Usually this doesn't work out very well, because sometimes people are not lying. Sometimes it's a web of truths that's based on the fact that they were just not being completely honest with people, and no one was killed, no one was harmed, no one was fouled, no one was backstabbed. It's just they did not tell a person an opinion at a certain place and time because they were biting their tongue, because they did not want to potentially cause harm to said person by being honest. And we're talking about shit like, baby, does these pants make my butt look big? And then they get social embarrassment because they find out it in fact did make their butt look big. And you lied to them and said, well, you tell them a half-truth, a white lie. I don't care the size of it. I think it looks fine. And then they take up umbrage with you. Things like that, you don't need to do that with. And we also don't need to hear about it publicly. When we're talking about somebody who's done a web of bullshit like this, where they set up the bomb, and then they got you fucking crazy and stir crazy, seeing and jumping at shadows and ghosts, then they get exposed, and yeah, it is exactly what the fuck it looks like. And they are trying to write the meta-narrative as, it's not me, I didn't do it, it was my editor. But then you find out their editor is their husband of 10 years. And then you get clips and camera footage of them cackling in the throes of passion about how happy they were that the plan to fuck you over went over. Again. You just dump. You just dump. It's a very big inspirational point that most people don't go off of. In fact, there is a song that expresses this, of which I will play a little bit of a clip of. It's basically the TikTok song that's been going around from Saint Lamar, which is this one. I'm skipping to the lyrics. I'm getting past the opening. That's the energy you usually go into the situation with. You don't know who's lying. You don't know who's telling the truth. Dump at everybody. Doesn't matter if you know that they were telling the truth. Doesn't matter if you know that they were involved, but they were only a little bit involved. They knew a little bit of details. It's very, very rare that you can do this type of crash out. Because this 100%, now that I know all the details about it, was 100% a justified crash out from every single person who was affected by Cinder. How else can they talk about it than rip off the fucking Band-Aid? Shit like this would then have other people decide that they would slide for them. And this is what usually goes wrong. Let's use Game Grumps and Ding Dong and Julian as an example. Ding Dong and Julian gets fucked over by Game Grumps. Super Mega also fucked over by Game Grumps. Throw that one in there too. They get fucked over. John gets fucked over. Ding Dong and Julian gets fucked over. Super Mega gets fucked over specifically by formerly Ethan, now Eden, and Updog. People address the problems. They hear about it from the people who were victimized by them. But then they feel like they need to go out of their way to go do something to them. To demonstrate how, we know what you did to them! Justice! Justice for Gotham! You can't do that in that situation. Because at that point, if it's not that person addressing the problem himself, it is harassment. Unfortunately, we can't control what people choose to do on the internet, but it would be harassment. Justifiably so. It's not for you to crash out about. For them. By all means, crash out with them. But your job is to stand far back and stop people from interrupting the hands that are about to be thrown. Because it's their experience, it's their emotion, it's their life, it's their situation, it's their crash out. And now is the time for them to crash out. If you wish to crash out separately with them, all together coping together, or be upset by yourself together, that's a different question. That's fine. That was their problem. They handled it. They addressed it. Nobody else needed to be involved, other than the people who were involved. And that is it. I've watched too many times people do this. I think the last time I saw people try to do this was Christopher Niazi, if anybody remembers the Terrain of Magical Expertise, and the accusations and the confirmed actions that Christopher Niazi did. It's actually probably the most common thing that happens, especially with voice actor accusations. This was the case with Victor Joseph Bonona And then they had none of that energy for the same shit that was confirmed to have been done by David Mills. Which is why, alongside all the other Funimation actors and all the other Funimation people slowly have been crashing out collectively over time with the fact that they were misled by their figures and their idols. Because their figures and idols chose to do the same thing that she, Cinder, did to these users. The same way that the Funimation staff tried to basically get Victor Joseph Minona to kill himself during the time of the Broly movie versus the results that came from the deposition and the cross-examination that was paid for by content creators like Nick Rekieta to expose how they really felt about them behind closed doors and how emotional they got with wanting to do this level of deep betrayal. We will never know how Victor felt in the moment when it was happening to him. But we, collectively, as the fans of anime, if not just fans as his inner fan club, we would have the same responsibility and the same reaction in the exact same way. If something happened to your favorite content creator, you'd react that way, in the exact same way. And it's really important that you don't do that. By all means, community effort to understand and set the record straight, that's fine. But doing actual physical actions is unacceptable. Because it's not your job. Anyways, it is now 5:09. I will reappear after I have served dinner, and I will be finishing Ratchet & Clank 3, I believe. I was going to play something in the background, but I did not feel like I should have. I needed to pay attention to this one, because the details here were the real devil. And that's kind of like half the reason that I don't know as much as I probably could know about VTubers. Every time you turn your head, something else happens to a VTuber community. Either something is being done to somebody, or something has been done to someone by a company because of somebody else's reaction because of something. Or, if you're on Valens, you get jealous of people who are better than you doing the VTuber thing, and you get upset that you can't recreate yourself as a new personal identity because you are a well-known transgender creeper who chooses to attack other people because you're jealous of them. And also, you desperately want to, like, breed the legal females that are actually female. Because that clip that exists, that is on your front page of your Kiwi Farms post. Very sad, very cringe, very real. Anyways, dinner. And then I will return post-haste. Goodbye, everybody. I love you. I'm going to read you in the funny papers, and I'm billing you all for therapy. Goodbye.